Get ready to parlay with the past. Welcome to day 4 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Roaring 20s Second Swing event. Tuning into the turn of the century is the ragtime gal herself, Vanessa Collins.
Get ready for the real shebang. I'm Vanessa Collins from Northwood University, and the Fixed Ops Roundtable is taking a second swing at the Roaring 20s. So string up your suspenders and join us as we jazz up the automotive landscape with the best in the biz on the 4th day of our glamorous event. Eager to buzz in? The best way to mix and mingle is to join our speakeasy by using the chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen. Just be sure to select everyone and not just hosts and panelists. Grab your trolley ticket and join us as we hear from Christie Wilson at Uber for Business.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. We're at Uber's headquarters in New York City at the World Trade Center. And today we have a very special interview with Christie Wilson. Christie, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us in. What a great facility. What a great view, right?
Yes, I know. This is what we see every single day. Lucky to work downtown here at the World Trade Center building. Thank you guys for being here.
I got to say this, that Sarah and I and our audience, I think, learned a lot about Uber this week and being able to come in here and find out all the things that you're doing. So if it's okay, we have a few more questions for you.
Definitely.
All right. So the first one, Uber is known for everyday rides. What's Uber for Business and what's your role in automotive?
Sure. So Uber for Business is a platform built for organizations. It helps businesses manage rides, eats, and more at scale. Our position within auto is we help try to simplify things for fixed op directors, reduce internal operations, provide a more seamless, cost-effective solution when it comes to courtesy ride transportation. So our goal is to get customers to and from the dealership as easy as possible.
Christie, how does Uber's Courtesy Rides product work? And what's been the response from the auto industry so far?
So our Courtesy Ride product is providing rides to and from the dealership, similar, just like I had said. And we allow the dealership's field to automate that process. So they can send a flexible link or they can schedule on-demand rides right then and there for our customers to not have them wait at the dealership or have to take a shuttle service. So we're trying to make it a lot easier for them to get to where they need to go.
You know, up until Uber, that was kind of the alternative, the courtesy shuttle, right? Waiting for that could be crowded, could have a lot of people to drop off. Loaners, what's the benefit of working for Uber or working with Uber if you're a retail dealership and starting this relationship?
Yeah, so I'd say working with Uber instead of utilizing that traditional shuttle service is that we've just seen with shuttle services, there's a lot more that go into it. The depreciation value, insurance, maintenance, gas, employing a shuttle driver, and then lastly, you got to think about the customer's experience as well. So it could take them twice as long to get home, whereas if you put a customer in an Uber, they can be out the door within a few minutes and back to work or back home, wherever they need to be. And then with loaners, we try to also help reduce the loaner fleet. We obviously know loaners are very valuable to dealerships, but loaners are quite costly and expensive. So helping try to reduce that loaner fleet by putting customers in Ubers and not having to worry about the liability or maintaining a large fleet and the costs that are associated with it.
Even the customer not having to have the liability, because when I drop off my car for service and I get a ride home, I may not need to have that loaner car in my driveway sitting there all day, okay?
Right, exactly.
I just need to ride home and I need to ride back when it's ready. And Uber satisfies all that without having to have that, transferred over to the customer. So,
Christie, we're here at Uber's headquarters, and I have to ask, what is coming down the pipeline? Are there any pieces that you can give us a sneak peek of?
Yeah, sure. So we are constantly implementing new integrations with dealer management systems and scheduling tools. So we have more on the horizon. Excited to share some that are coming about in the upcoming months. And then we were also trying to help provide spend caps for dealerships as well as trip radius as in addition to that.
All right, exciting times. And again, we're very grateful for having to host the Fixed Ops Roundtable here this week at Uber and giving us this insight into all that you're doing. Just amazing to see.
Yeah, thank you.
So very grateful. On behalf of Sarah Van Tine, I'm Ted Ings with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We are here in New York City at Uber's headquarters in the World Trade Center, and we will be right back.
At your dealership, customers always come first. Discover how you can help ensure a 5-star experience, boost CSI scores, and control costs with Uber for Business. Elevate your customer experience by providing courtesy rides to customers while their cars are being serviced. Use Central to request an Uber ride for your customer. They'll receive an SMS to track their trip. For repairs that might take a few days, provide a voucher with Uber credit that can be used on rides. Use Central to help move employees to and from the dealership with ease. Provide white glove service with vehicle pickup and drop off during service or maintenance appointments. Transport parts straight to your service bay using the parts delivery feature on Central. Uber for Business helps you optimize costs and improve operational efficiency, while taking your customers' experience from good to great. Join thousands of auto dealerships using Uber for Business today. Learn more on our website.
Our next speaker is a real mover and shaker. Please welcome Allie Peters along with Ted Ings and Sarah Van Tine.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Van Tine here with Ted Ings. Today we have a very special guest with us, Fixed Ops Director of Jaguar Land Rover San Antonio, Allie Peters is with us. And Ted, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Allie today.
Sarah, I am as well. Allie is a role model for so many people in our industry, and it's a great honor to have her back. Allie, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be back.
Well, Allie, you've had a lot happening over the course of 2025. But we want to jump right in because, you are, as Ted mentioned, a thought leader when it comes to fixed operations. And a lot of the conversation in our industry has been around culture. And so we would love to get your perspective. If you had to sum up dealership culture in just a few words, how would you describe it?
I am so happy that this is the conversation that we're having now, because it has not been the folk at the front of dealership life. I would say for me, culture, especially in our industry, is truly creating an environment where people want to be and people want to bring their friends. I know we've talked about this in the past, but that's always been something that I take pride in. And when we've been able to hire off of referrals, I feel like that is the ultimate win. I also think that it really means at the core that everyone who's on the team is invested in protecting the team, protecting the culture, that it's not just one person driving it, but everyone is kind of taking care of the house, so to speak.
I know a lot of times we use that word culture. People have used it. It's sort of a cliche, but going back to some of the things you just mentioned, Allie, for example, promoting from within, bringing people up with a true career path. I know that's something that you've been involved with your entire career. Speak to us about that, and how you spot things such as emerging leaders, as part of that culture to continue that path.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a few of the things that I like to look for when I am really just straight out of the gate hiring, regardless of the position, is someone who wants to be involved and be invested and do more than the role that they are applying for entails. Meaning, I want to be able to put anyone who I'm interviewing, if I was to say, hey, I need to go and do something for 5 minutes, there's a customer out there, can you just go talk to them? You don't have to talk to them about anything specific, but can you just keep them entertained while I go and do this and then I come back? And if that person has the ability to do that and is not, maybe they might be scared, but they're willing to lean into the fear and go and do that, I love that, because that's someone who's willing to do, in my opinion, what it takes to build that culture. I want to see someone who, walking across a drive, they might be someone who sits in the back and looks at a computer, but if they walk across the drive and they greet or they see a customer, I want them to say hi and not be scared of that. I also really, really like it when people are doing the job before they have the job, when I'm looking to promote. So often people will come and ask me that, hey, I'm interested in more, what should I do? And that's a conversation. It's being the person that I can trust when I'm not looking. And that means a lot in the dealership space. There are times where very rarely is anyone that's in my area of responsibility is going to be sitting at a desk all day long. They're always moving. They're always somewhere. And so to have the trust that when I can't see them, they're doing what they're supposed to do, absolutely speaks just mountains as to what their future holds.
I love that, Allie. And as you mentioned, some of those moments in that customer experience, they might seem mundane, but that's really, those little moments of greeting, acknowledgement, and hospitality. That's been a big conversation that Ted and I have heard across the industry has been, automotive shifting to more of a hospitality type industry.
Mm-hmm.
But at the store itself, there's a lot of components that happen every day in a service drive and in the shop. And with Jaguar Land Rover San Antonio, what's one thing about working here that surprises people the most?
So I think that specifically this store, and I'll speak to myself, the very first time that I walked into the store and became a part of this team was actually how well sales and service worked together. And I know that is something that I do genuinely believe the industry is working towards, because that goes back to culture. I mean, that goes back to that entire idea of being a best place to work. Because the reality is you can go get your oil changed anywhere, you can get tires anywhere, you can buy a car anywhere. So what makes it different? And so I think just the unity between the departments was really, really impressive to me. And then I would say the next part is how versatile these cars are. That was something that surprised me. So there are these beautiful premium luxury vehicles that you can drive up to this gorgeous event and valet park, but also the day after you can go out into the mountains and the valleys and the water, and you can drive all over, and they're made for both of those. And I think that that is a really neat thing about the product itself that not everyone from the outside looking in understands. So to get to see that in real life has been really fun for me.
Can I ask a follow-up question of both of you? Sarah first, and then Allie. You are both powerful women within our industry who've come up through the retail ranks. That's not easy to do for anybody, okay, man or woman. And Sarah, what's one thing that has surprised you as to where our industry is today, okay, and where it stands compared to where you may have started? I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about that. And then the same question for Allie as well.
Well, the successful dealerships, Ted, and one of the pieces that I think a lot of stores that are doing the right things meaning, the right things by their customers, the right things by their employees, are acknowledging those contributions and those pieces that really make the experience exceptional. And I'll use an example outside retail, but I was shopping for just casually looking around, some retail stores, and I had my 3 kids in tow. And I will tell you, most stores that I walked into, when the salesperson that was, selling just very boutique, clothing, purses, jewelry, when I walked into those retail establishments, nobody looked at me. It was as if, I didn't really even exist. They looked up for a split second. They saw, here comes somebody with, a tornado of children around them. And they just went back to their business, and they were just, behind the desk or doing their thing. One of the things that I've seen successful dealerships really embrace has been, our communities are so many different types of people. They're all kinds of different ages. And honestly, the customer experience can be variable for different people and depending on what their needs are. And so the thing that surprised me the most has been, dealerships. And like, I went into one business, just to go back to that piece, but I went into a purse store, and the salesperson, she came up to me, stopped me, grabbed a coloring book for my kid and said, "Hey, we're so happy that you're in here today. I want to, if you want to look around and take a minute, like, we've got stuff for your kids to do so you can relax while you're in here." And just that little tiny piece of acknowledgement went such a long way in my experience while I was in there. And so dealerships, I'm seeing the same thing happen. They're doing things like, Ted, when we saw some of the playgrounds and some of the different pieces for kids to experience while they're at the dealership, or just having those little moments of acknowledgement where they're talking to the kids that are coming in along with their parents in the showroom. They're having those, experiences across the service lane as well. So I would say, from a surprise standpoint, I'm seeing lots more dealerships embrace families and more, types of people that are coming into the showroom. And I'm glad to see it. I think that's something that didn't exist early on in my career, but it's becoming more and more common.
Allie, I'm curious your perception as well.
Yeah, I love that. I loved that. Just hearing that experience that you had with the coloring book. I think for me, one thing that I will say is I have been in this industry for, it'll be 15 years in January. And I feel like I came in at a really great time. And I think, Sarah, you and I, we might have talked about this at one point, but about just, I feel like I'm coming on the heels of the women who came before me and started that foundational work for us. And so one thing that I am actively seeing in our organization, I'm seeing it in organizations around me, is the awareness of what it truly means to be a best place to work or a great place to work. And to your point, Sarah, every single person who works here is different. We all have different needs. We have different wants. We have different passions and the different motivators. And so when I see organizations that are really starting to take a holistic view of their employees, I think that speaks to our future. Specifically, there are some friends of mine who have now not just paid maternity leave, but they've started to incorporate paid paternity leave. I mean, it's things that 30 years ago you wouldn't even think of. So I think that people who allow for the flexibility, people meaning those who are in charge of an organization, allow for the flexibility of the people who come to work for them every day, is really important. And I'm starting to see a lot more of that. I think my last bit on this is I do remember starting and people talking about, that idea of working bell to bell or 6 days a week. And the reality is that that's not feasible for some people. And those people might be the best people to have on your team. And so how do you look at everyone on your team? And I think about this from a woman's point of view, but I also think about this just, again, holistically to all of the people that I'm entrusted with day in, day out. How do I support them in living the life that they want to live while being the best version of themselves when they're here at work with me?
And Allie, I love that you brought up the bell to bell piece, because I think that too is such an evolution in our industry that we're seeing, is that, a lot of that clock hours meant dedication. That actually, we're seeing so many people that if they're efficient with their time and they're, have that flexibility, they actually perform better than some of the people that are just there, the clock hours of the day. And, that really ties into another component, which is the team energy and how people, are responding, while they're at work, how they have their morale up. So how do you keep team energy high across your service drive in so many different departments?
Yeah, so I think it starts with me. And I know that that sounds silly, but I do have a naturally high energy level, if you guys haven't picked up on. And so I think that I'm a reflection of the culture that I want and the culture that I believe we deserve to have. And I think that, in my opinion, I set the bar. And so, I'm a human. So there are going to be days where I am a little more cranky or I didn't get enough sleep or something's going on and it's in my head. But on the flip side, I recognize that what I bring is ultimately received by the team and then reflected by the team. And so I think that for me, a lot of the energy level and a lot of the effort level that we see is directly related to, again, hiring the right people, setting the right expectations, and then having the buy-in from the team. One of my favorite things that has happened recently is we have a group message for technicians, we have a group message for the advisors, and there will be days where we're wrapping up the month, say, and as each person is done with their responsibilities, they are able to leave, and some stay a little bit later. Some are able, to your point, Sarah, to be effective with the time that they have, and so they're able to walk out the minute that the day is closed because they've done everything that they need to do. And so we'll send a message of, hey, we're wrapped up. Or some months we haven't even sent that, and we'll have advisors checking in or techs checking in. How did we do? Where did we land? Because they understand what the goals are for the team, and they understand how they play a role in that. And then they actually care about the results of what we did. And so I think that that's been something that's just been really fun, because it's not always that you have people who care. They come, they clock in, they do their job, and they leave. But to build a team that has buy-in, I think that goes back to our original question about culture. And then obviously the energy, like we keep the energy up throughout the month. And when some people are low, the other people pick it up. And I appreciate that. So I think we are genuinely a team that takes care of each other.
Last question, Allie, for today. And if I can bring it back to that culture conversation that we've been having this whole time. What's the secret to consistency, keeping that culture consistent while realizing that every team member has their own unique personality? What's the secret sauce there? How do you keep that consistency as well as the energy going, right?
Yeah. So I will say, I mean, we've discussed this. I have a different perspective this time around at JLR, and it has just been one of the things that I really like. You can even see behind, I like football. I grew up, my dad liked football, and then I married a man who likes football. So football has been a theme of my life. And so we watch a lot of football shows. And so with that being said, there is definitely this desire for me to understand all of the parts of the head coach, as well as the offensive coordinator, as well as the defensive coordinator, as well as the special teams coach, and looking at how all of those people play their part to have the success of the team. So the reason I say that is I think that there have been lots of times where I genuinely, at my core, believed, okay, you set the expectation, everyone understands it, you hold them accountable to it, and then in 21 days, they formed the habit and you can move on to the next thing. But the reality is that's not the case. Every single day in that coaching world, they're running laps, they're doing push-ups, they're doing drills. They don't stop doing the basics. And so I think for us, with that culture, it's deciding what our non-negotiables are. And again, starting with me, holding our team to that. So we have a few things we do every single day. If we're tired, if we're not tired, if we're late, if we're early, we have to do these things. And so I think to what you're saying, the consistency piece is not getting away from it. It's as simple as that. Just doing what you say you're going to do, and do it every single day. And I will be doing it for every single day for the next 20 years. It doesn't go away. If we're going to be successful, these are the things we do. And now, same thing. Now we have people coming in saying, okay, hey, are we ready for checkout? Like, I'm not even asking them. They're coming to me saying, I'm ready. I've done my part. I'm ready to go. Let's do this before I leave. And so, again, goes back to culture, environment, team, energy, expectations. So I think that it starts with me as the leader. But I think at the end of the day, if you surround yourself with the right people, then you're going to be successful in maintaining that consistency and maintaining that success.
Allie Peters, a great conversation with a great leader in our industry. Thank you so much for your time with us here today.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Sarah, exciting to see the talent, in our industry continuing to grow, and Allie Peters, of course, a big part of that as well.
Thanks, guys.
It's always a great conversation when we have Allie Peters with us. And again, Allie, thank you for being such an incredible thought leader and a lot of great insights, Ted, that I'm sure we'll continue to unpack here at the Roundtable.
Great stuff. Everybody, Allie Peters here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Unlock the industry's most comprehensive service technology platform. Xtime delivers a simple, fully transparent digital experience for both consumers and dealers. Get approvals on additional service recommendations in as fast as 7 minutes and earn 46% more dollars per repair order with Xtime. Dealerships and OEMs have long relied on Xtime's leading position in service scheduling, multi-point inspections, service marketing, and the consumer check-in experience. Drive revenue and profitability with our proven service technology that enhances the service experience from start to finish. Gain consumer confidence and elevate the staff experience with solutions that drive convenience and speed. Set the tone for the ultimate service experience with Xtime Schedule. Maximize your team's productivity and keep customers coming back with convenient online scheduling features and robust shop capacity management with Schedule. Grow fixed operations with every appointment using Xtime Engage, creating superior personalized experiences for your customers. Boost efficiency and profit with seamless check-ins, convenient status updates, and fast checkouts. And avoid frustrating bottlenecks with connected data from back-office processes to fixed ops. Improve your service department throughput and yield with Xtime Inspect, a fully integrated digital multi-point inspection tool. Obtain faster ASR approvals and higher profits, increasing RO value, instilling confidence in customers, and improving staff productivity with enhanced time-saving technician processes. Generate the demand you need at the right time from the right audience with Xtime Invite. Maximize revenue potential with multi-channel marketing capabilities through AI and service automations that drive performance marketing, precision targeting, and personalized outreach. A more profitable service experience requires a better service platform. Xtime gives you the comprehensive tools you need to enhance every communication touchpoint, resulting in satisfied customers and dealership staff to ensure ROI and increase likelihood of repeat business. Xtime is a part of a powerful ecosystem of retail solutions from Cox Automotive. Power on Retail 360.
Hear from the whiz in the fixed ops biz with the advanced service expert panel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Katrina Ness, joined by Sarah Bantine, and we are here with the Advanced Service Expert Panel in Houston, Texas at Mike Calvert Toyota. Sarah, this is an exciting panel, and I'm so excited to dive in.
Katrina, this is a really important topic in our industry right now, talking about all of the different pieces that create a transparent selling process. But before we get into that, we'd love to have everyone go down the line and introduce yourselves to our audience today.
I'm Eric Majors, a service manager here at Mike Calvert Toyota.
I'm Faith Pretry, the production manager here at Mike Calvert Toyota.
I'm Dorian Udo. I'm the account manager of the Reynolds & Reynolds, and I work for the folks here at Mike Calvert Toyota.
Matthew Winston. I'm the fixed operations director here at Mike Calvert Toyota.
Wonderful. Well, Matt, sometimes they say the fixed operations side is also sales. So how do you define in your department, a transparent selling process that is clear to the customer and makes both parties feel content?
Yeah, so I love that question. I always tell our staff, whether you're a technician or an advisor, take the word sales out of it, right? Really, we're we're fact finders, right? And just presenting the facts of what the car is due for when you come in, or when the vehicle goes into the shop, right? And you see failed brakes, right? Facts are the brakes are failed and they require immediate attention. So really just taking that whole hard sales tactic out of it, right? And just present the fact, right?
I love it. Okay, we're gonna need it eventually. No, better. Well, and we're speaking of transparent selling process, I'd like to kind of get your perspective on really how this entire process, you're moving to 90% electronic and guide. How did that get turned?
Well, we found that with consumers that receive a video showing and displaying their vehicle and presenting the facts of if there's a need for the vehicle, having both photos and videos with it, it makes it, I guess, a less anxious process for the consumer and the advisor both. Before this technology, you used to have carbon copies and call and make a phone call and tell them kind of services they need. And that could be challenging on expensive repairs, especially if the consumer can't actually see it. So it allows the consumer to see what the tech is seeing from their point of view. So it's a great tool.
Okay, how can this process evolve in your position?
Those are the customer is more receptive to the recommendations that we make when we show them a clear, transparent image or video. It's crucial for the eccentric experience.
And Adelia, I'm imagining that 90% electronic PCI, on these vehicles. Like, what is the real target that a dealership? And then Mike Calvert, of course, is an incredible performer, and incredible operator. But how does the dealership really get started in that?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, what we have to do is really just take a step back and understand what is my goal, right? And if the goal is to create, levels of transparency, my goal is to create a great customer experience, and then you start building backwards from there, right? And so once you do that, then it's easy to start to put different processes in place that'll help you get to that goal of having 90% videos and 90% MPIs and really, curating a great customer experience.
And Matt, why did you go about starting this goal? Like, what was kind of the original point, and then how did it grow to where it is today?
Yeah, so really it just takes buy-in from everybody, right? We know that presenting the facts and showcasing it, right? Our advisors aren't allowed to sell anything without showing it, and same with our technicians, right? And I put it in the perspective of, say your mom brings her car into a shop, right? And there's all these recommendations, and they're saying she needs to spend, $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 on repairing her car, right? Which really no facts behind it. Just you need this, you need that. It's where, you could send her the video or send the video to the husband, daughter, son, whoever it may be, and the video stands on its own two legs.
Yeah, and so on the topic of the videos and transparency, we were talking about it earlier as well, but how do customers respond when they see a tech walking them through what their vehicle needs?
We hear it all the time that they love how different it is, right? They've never really had that experience anywhere else, and so they come to us, and like I said, the video stands on its own two legs. So they're pretty amazed by it, right? That we're not just recommending things to recommend them, we're showing and educating, of why it's important for them to get it.
Right, and the tech is the one that's doing it for us, so that's wonderful. And then Udo, what about you from the Reynolds standpoint? How do customers respond when they see the tech walking them through what their vehicle needs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious when someone can see a video. I mean, there really isn't any debating, right? They see what's actually going on. And then speaking specific for customers, from our customers' perspective, we've seen just great, reaction and feedback, and then just people using the tools and being more comfortable and being able to really push forward this process is because they see the results that it's doing for their actual business. So all around, I think it's a great tool.
Absolutely. Faith, what about you? How have you seen, this positively impact the way customers perceive their vehicle being done?
Repeat returns, repeat visits. Our recommendations may not be done on the same visit, but they're definitely coming back and trusting us with getting their work done with us because they're able to see it. They see what needs to be done.
I agree. Eric, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the customer side of it, it makes us stand out amongst other dealerships that are not doing it. And I think clients that have routinely been our clients for quite a while are now accustomed to receiving a video. And it's kind of nice on the management side, if one of the customers doesn't get a video, they'll let me know, like, hey, I didn't get that video text. Do you mind seeing if you can send it to me? And, sometimes you just have to send the link via text on the rental app, and it's that easy. But yeah, it's awesome to see how they now expect it.
Yeah. Dorian, just in thinking about the customer expectation evolving and being able to see what's going on with their vehicle and really have that video proof of what the recommendations are. One of the pitfalls that I think a lot of dealerships, struggle in that first implementation process is really just thinking about, how do I train? How do I use this technology? What are the best strategies? What are you seeing across the industry?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's really the first major obstacle. I think just human nature, we're adverse to change, right? So we like doing things the way we've always done it. And obviously, bringing in a tool with pictures and videos, it is a change, right? And so the reality is that you have to first explain to your employees what it's going to do for them, right? Obviously, we want to turn hours in service, and so we let our technicians know that this is going to get us more approvals, right? And then from an advisor perspective, this is going to help us sell more, right? And then that starts to bubble up, and now the business is starting to get some dramatic impacts as far as profitability goes, right? And so when you can explain that to your employees, your staff, your techs, your advisors, the people that are in the fixed operations world, then it's easier to get that buy-in, and then it's easier for them to adopt the training and all the things that need to be done in order to be able to maximize and get this rolling.
Eric, what advice would you give to other stores that are thinking about, considering this question?
I would say, you can't lose anything by giving it a try, right? Watching this store transition into using video multi-point inspections, you can see the difference in the clientele. And I've been now at 2 stores that have done that, and it makes such a huge impact, and it'll make you as a dealer stand out more than your competitors, and you'll be guaranteed to see it in the results.
Okay. Any thoughts on what dealers should be doing, or what advice should you give?
Definitely have an adaptability mindset. Being able to change and try new things is super crucial to the success or trying new ways.
And Matt, what other advice are we missing that you would like to share with dealers?
I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you want to improve your customer satisfaction and your profitability, right, let the facts do the talking.
You couldn't have said it better myself, Matt. And everyone, we're here at my Calvert Toyota. Katrina Ness and I are at the pop-up event with Fix Up Roundtable, and we will be right back.
Keep your eyes peeled for Curtis Gardner in a segment filmed live at our Houston pop-up.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. We have an exciting group with us today, and we are going to be talking to Curtis Gardner. Ted, Curtis has really made a name for himself in our industry.
Sarah, he really has, and we're in Houston, Texas, so very fitting that we're here with Curtis Gardner, one of the growing giants in our industry. Curtis, welcome back to the Fixed Ops.
Thank you all so much for having me. It's great to be here. Change of scenery down in Houston.
It's amazing to see what you're doing on social media and the growth you're having as a technician on platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn and now TikTok and so on. So the ladies and I have some questions for you today, if you don't mind. And
yeah, absolutely.
We'll let Sarah get started.
Yeah, just to kick things off, Curtis, I mean, when you've often said that techs don't actually hate video inspections, which is an interesting statement in itself, but they hate doing more work, and they don't necessarily feel like there's a lot of return on doing all those extra stops with the video. So what's the mindset shift required for technicians to really embrace the video?
Technicians get paid commission. So every second they spend performing a video, walking the parking lot, or even going to the restroom, that's time that they're not using fixing the car. So if you're having them do a video inspection and they don't get it on their first try, it takes a significant amount of time to get that video inspection, especially if they're not getting approvals. So if technicians aren't seeing the return on those video inspections, they're seeing them as pointless and a waste of time. There comes a point where training the technicians on what to say, how to say it, and what works is very beneficial, because then when they start to see those approvals or they start to see their customer CSI scores go up, they're going to see those benefits and they're going to see those ratings and not be as focused on how much time they're wasting doing it and saying, this video is a tool that I can use to make more money.
That's amazing. So you often talk about handling comebacks, not just fixing the car, but fixing your mindset after something goes wrong. What's your personal process for turning a bad day into a growth moment?
We all have bad days as technicians, especially when the car rolls in, maybe on a tow truck, or leaking oil after you just fixed it. It's important to use that as a learning experience rather than just beating yourself up about it. It's easy to let one day snowball into a bad week or a bad month, so focusing on how you can do better the next time is a very important process of staying efficient and being productive. Some things that I like to do are learn from the experience. Why did it happen? What can I use going forward to make sure that it doesn't happen again? And then just owning it, making sure that you're taking responsibility for the mistake that you might have made and using that, like I said, as a learning experience going forward rather than just beating yourself up over and over again.
Yeah, and that definitely comes with time and a good mindset that you have to have on your back about that. So, with young technicians coming into this industry, how would you address, skill building just beyond turning a wrench and get them excited about that?
A lot of technicians see automotive industry or they join it because they love cars. When they join the industry, then they start to realize that the more you work, the more time you spend, the more money you can make. And it's very easily to get distracted with that, especially at the beginning. So it's important for technicians to think of their skill platform as a pyramid, with the base being quality checks, simple repairs, recommendations, communication, and moving that, flagging a ton of hours to the top. Because while it is important for everyone to make more money, it's going to save you in the long run if you focus on the basic skills that help make you a great technician.
Absolutely.
Curtis, you recently came up to New York City to the World Trade Center for the event that we did there. Thank you for coming up.
That was one heck of a trip, but it was well worth it.
As you know, we put technicians front and center. Our good friend Marco led the day there, and he talked about, we've talked about a technician shortage for many, many years, okay? And really, the fact that we haven't, as an industry, treated the technicians right, okay? How essential you are. And you have said that it's not all just about money. It's about purpose, I'm quoting here, respect and being part of the conversation. Curtis, what's broken in how most dealerships manage technicians today?
I think a lot of technicians want to feel part of the bigger purpose. They want to be involved in the things that matter. A lot of conversations that go on in dealerships revolve around technicians, and there's not a lot of say from technicians on how those decisions are made. From pay to hours to their daily operations, their schedule, the amount of information they need to learn on new cars. And I think technicians just want to feel part of the bigger picture. They want to know what's in front of them, what's 1 year down the road, 3 years down the road, or 5 years down the road, and they want to be part of something. Recognition goes a long way. I know when I tackle a hard diagnosis and maybe my shop foreman or my manager knows about it, it goes so much further when they recognize what I've done, even if it's a personal goal, and they come over and they say, hey, great job on that diag, great job on this, and not just revolved around the money aspect of being a technician, like the flagged hours.
I have one final question. If you had 30 seconds to advise a young person getting into our industry who's wanting to become an automotive technician as a career, okay, what would you say to them? Is it still an important and a good career path? What would you say as Curtis Gardner if you just had half a minute to talk to that person?
As Curtis Gardner, it's very rewarding. I enjoy working on cars for the aspect of working on cars. I'm very good at working and doing stuff with my hands. I enjoy the creativity of it. I enjoy being efficient and how I can use the flag system as a competitive or gamification to boost the way that I look at the bigger scale of being a technician. So being able to use my hands, being able to do it just no longer than 30 seconds at this point. But it's very rewarding, and turn it into something fun. Don't just turn it into a job or a position. Turn it into something that you enjoy and love, because that will take you so much further than just showing up to flights and hours.
Sarah, Curtis is very passionate. You can tell, and it comes through. It rings through in what he says.
Curtis has brought a lot of energy and a lot of excitement around technician videos, and it's really time to embrace it.
All right, so Curtis Gardner, best place to find you on social media. How do we do it again? Where do we go?
Instagram at Technar. My second platform I'm currently on is also LinkedIn and TikTok, also under Technar or Curtis Gardner.
All right. So a lot of exciting things to come. Curtis, thank you on behalf of the industry for doing this.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm Ted Ings with Sarah Van Tyne, with Katrina Ness, with Lacey Kennedy. We are here in Houston, Texas at the big pop-up event, and we're going to be right back.
Hi, I'm Angie Piscato from the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We today are in Okemos, Michigan at Graf Chevrolet. We are talking all things fixed ops, but in particular, technician multi-point inspection videos. Patrick does the technician multi-point inspections every day. So I wanted to get a perspective from you on what exactly you feel like it adds to the service experience.
I feel like it gives the customer a great idea of what's going on with their vehicle as far as issues they might have. A visual representation is the best thing you can do as far as showing someone what's going on with their vehicle, and also be able to give them the explanation of what's going on as well. Sometimes things can be lost in translation from one person to another when it comes to reaching out to a customer. So video is the best thing you can do for that. So it's been a great system.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got the chance to see you in action a few times. Tell me, how long does it take normally per each video?
Generally between a minute to 4 minutes, depending on, if there's a lot of issues with the vehicle or if it's a newer vehicle. If it's a brand new vehicle, usually around a minute, but you need to go more in depth and explain what's going on with the vehicle to take up to 4 minutes.
So you feel like it's a positive addition to the process?
Absolutely. I think it's a great addition to be able to give the customer peace of mind and a visual representation of what may be going on with their vehicle.
Excellent. And I heard earlier you said you can't imagine doing anything without it now.
Yeah, honestly, since we started, I would never turn back. It's been a really good system and customers love it. So
yeah, we started this back in 2019. We just thought it was a great idea to show customers transparency. It's a great tool to have for the customer to just see what we're seeing on their vehicle. There's always that worry of, is this actually what's wrong with my vehicle? So to show them, hey, your oil cooler lines are leaking, your brakes are bad, your tires are low on tread depth, just be able to visualize that and actually see their vehicle. It's just a tremendous help.
Have you had any particular customer feedback in regards to these videos?
Yes, our customers absolutely loved it, especially back in 2019 when we started it. It just blew customers away.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's unnerving and very also exciting to see your own vehicle in the air. The technician takes the customer underneath with the camera, right?
Yep.
And shows them what types of things underneath the car. Have you run into any roadblocks with technicians or, developing this process within the shop?
I know when we initially started it, I would say 80% of the shop was on board. Some of the older techs that have been here for quite a while, they had a little pushback on doing the video, but once we showed them, hey, this is going to help, this is going to allow the customer to see what you're seeing and not to think that, you're lying, trying to upsell them something that's not needed.
Yeah, and for being such an early adopter, I feel like Graf Chevy and the whole organization did this really probably a few years before a lot of the other dealerships came on board. It's like I said, a relatively new thing. How are you able to keep the momentum going and get technicians excited about getting under the car and shooting these videos?
For one, we do pay them to do the video, so that's obviously a big help. But two, again, just knowing that they have that connection with the customer, showing them underneath what's going on with their vehicle, and just the transparency. I think that's the huge key with these videos, just being transparent with the customer.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tom.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Grab your shades because this next segment is shining bright. It's Blink AI with Clearlake Nissan.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Blink AI is with us, Ashleigh Norton, introducing another new Fixed Ops Roundtable certified dealer coming from Houston, Texas, Dustin Stookey, Fixed Operations Director at Clearlake Nissan. Welcome to both of you, and Ashleigh, I'll let you get things started.
Yeah, thank you, Ted. Excited to be here with Dustin. I hear the most amazing things from our CSM team about how Dustin partners with us and just the many reasons why we wanted to nominate him as a certified dealer, following best practices and really being forward thinking in all the ways that Blink AI can help increase his business. So Dustin, if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Fixed Ops Director here with Clearlake Nissan, part of the Keating Automotive Group. Been a Fixed Ops Director for about 15 years, 20 plus years in the Fixed Ops side of the business. We got a great team. We're seeing great growth. Really happy to have so many different great partners that we're partnering with that are helping us be more effective.
All right. Well, Dustin, thank you for being with us. I know you're working with Blink. You've been doing that for a while. Tell us a little bit about that, because I imagine that's one of the initiatives that's had a big impact on improving your fixed ops performance in the past year or so.
Yeah, I mean, we've been with Blink for a little over 4 years, and right out the gate, we noticed that their method of making it simpler to set an appointment increased our appointment count overall by about 26%. That product has continuously developed, and now we have the AI conversational piece, and we're seeing that eliminate phone calls, giving our advisors more time on the service drive to do what we want them to do, which is help customers.
Ashleigh, that's a great story.
It is a great story. And I mean, we just announced our Blink Voice AI earlier last month.
Yeah.
And it's already making so many improvements on the conversion rates over the phones and the way that customers are responding and reacting to the more conversational piece of voice AI instead of the more touchstone piece, which some dealers still prefer. But our more forward-thinking dealers are really ready for conversational, and conversational wasn't really ready for us until this year. So it's been a very exciting rollout for us. I'm glad to have someone like Dustin who was ready to jump in feet first.
Yeah.
So Dustin, let me ask you about that. How do customers like it? How do they react to it? What's been the feedback there?
Yeah, I mean, I think all customers in every aspect of the industry are enjoying AI at this point. It's easier, it's more intuitive. There's always someone right there ready to help you. There's no wait to speak to someone. The feedback's been great from the customers so far, and obviously the advisors are liking having that extra time.
Wow,
that's
fascinating. And by the way, Dustin, how did you find Blink? I know it's been a number of years, but do you recall how that came about?
Yeah, when like I said, I got here about 5 years ago. And for the first year, we were testing, demoing, looking at different products. Blink AI's name came up from a peer in our organization, and when we saw it, we were done. We were ready. We jumped right in with Blink AI and haven't looked back.
Dustin, your service team, how do you approach keeping them motivated, and I think even more important, consistent, right, in delivering a great customer experience? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've been very focused on customer experience, just like everybody else has for a very long time. And one of the things we always tell everybody is, as a franchise dealer, we're never going to be the fastest. We're never going to be the cheapest. So our only option is to be the best experience for the customer. And, most of these guys have been with me for several years and been able to prove the concept that if you create a better experience for your customer, you spend more time with the customer, you're going to generate more profit, therefore make more money.
And Ashleigh, Dustin's also very fluent on the entire dealership, not just fixed ops. And I know you pointed that out to me as well.
Yep. So what I'm hearing is that Dustin is what I love to hear, moving up in the world from fixed ops. And a lot of my history with working with dealers, your GMs of the world come more from variable. So they understand variable a little bit better than they understand the fixed world. And so getting to work with people like Dustin, who truly have been in it and in the trenches for, what'd you say, 25 years. Those are the kinds of partners that we love to work with and certify as a certified partner with you, Ted.
Dustin, I got to ask you, what role is technology playing or process automation in helping you become more efficient and streamline? It seems everybody wants to streamline things right now and become more efficient. How are those things helping you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're a fool if you're not looking at everything that's out there and constantly looking to improve. And I think technology, AI specifically, is hot right now. Everybody's looking at how they can be more effective, more efficient, more productive. And there's several tools out there. And if you're not, constantly looking at what's out there and testing and looking, then you're probably missing something. And we've been fortunate to be partnered with some really good partners already that we see that they're constantly improving. They're constantly trying to be a better partner. And, that's been very effective for us. But that's the name of the game, right? Like, how do we get more efficient? How do we take care of customers better? How are we faster? How are we better? And that's what we're always looking at here is just what's out there? What can we do better?
So, Dustin, how many technicians, about how many service advisors, and how do you handle things like service appointments? Is there a BDC? What's your process for that, if you don't mind?
So we have just right at 20 technicians at eight service advisors. We do not have a service BDC. I want my customers, kind of a cradle to grave type of situation. From the moment that they talk to someone, we should be building a relationship with them and keeping them as our individual brand customers as each advisor runs their own company. So our advisors handle all their own overflow phone calls with what doesn't get picked up by the AI piece. And that's been effective for us. Like I said, I want my advisors out there spending time with customers, building relationships. And I believe that starts right there when you answer the phone.
And Ted, I think that's pretty rare that we hear these days in fixed operations is not to have a BDC, just because our advisors are so overloaded. I mean, they have hard choices to make when the phone's ringing and the customers are in front of them. And that's really why all of us in this space started creating these phone solutions, is because the phones were the most chaos. And, for someone like Dustin's store, which is high volume, that can still use his advisors and not have to rely on a BDC and still build those relationships and still grow their revenue. It's it's a unique story, I think, in this industry, especially, coming from the background of building BDCs.
But I in the same tone, Ashleigh, I think it speaks volumes, Dustin, that your people are able to take it from beginning to end. I mean, there are sales departments that do that as well, okay? And trust the sales advisor, in this case, the service advisor, to be able to do the whole thing. And it's really based on the relationships they have with the customer.
Absolutely. We emphasize greeting our customer on the drive immediately, every single customer, spending the time. I want the advisor out there a little bit longer than most service departments would want their advisors out there with the customer. And they're able to do that by, being efficient, not being tied to making answering every call to make appointments. Our advisors aren't going out in the shop, and our techs aren't coming up here. We're keeping them in their workplace and keeping them effective.
And that, Ted, speaks to your background in proper multi-point inspections, proper walkarounds, being able to have the time to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That quality right up with the customer, Dustin. It's almost an art form today, right? To be able to build a relationship and, that transparency, and the whole thing is trust, right? That's really what it's all about. Sure. But if I'm a customer and there's something wrong with my vehicle, I'm probably not going back to the F&I manager or salesperson. I'm looking for my service advisor if I have issues and questions.
Sure.
So Dustin, tell us a little bit more. Your peers, other dealers, perhaps folks you have in 20 groups, other fixed ops directors, if they were to ask you for a piece of advice right now to strengthen their service department, here we are in the middle of 2025, coming into the back half of the year. What would you share with them? What would you say to them on strengthening what they do in service?
I mean, I think, one of the leaders in our organization always says, if you want to improve your dealership, you improve your customer-facing employees. And I think that's where the investment has to be, is that you're spending time making your employees more effective, making sure they're educated, and unleashing them, allowing them to go to work for you. For that reason, I think training is imperative. I think we have to spend an enormous amount of time with our customers, or our advisors, our techs, any dealership employee, continuously training, continuously developing, continuously keeping that mind turning, and a lot of times they may be hearing the same type of stuff, but let's make sure that their mind is constantly willing to grow. And that's where I would think the investment into our employees, from a knowledge standpoint, from an experience standpoint, making sure that we are being a resource for our employees, not the other way around.
Dustin, what was your career path? How did you come up in the business?
Yeah, I started out as an express tech in this job. About a year into that, I was a tech. I wasn't a very good tech. I have been insanely shaky hands, and that's not a good attribute to have when you're working on a car.
Me too.
Yeah. One of my service managers when I was early on said, "Hey, you got way too much personality to be in there back here in the back. How would you like to go write service?" I said, "Does it pay more than $12 an hour?" And he said, "A little bit more." And I went and wrote service for about 7 or 8 years, and then moved into a management spot.
I love that.
So you've walked in those advisors' shoes, okay? So you know that very well. And
absolutely.
And you obviously know what works in your location with your customers as well. So that speaks volumes.
Yeah, trial and error, and not being afraid to accept a little change, not being willing to listen to those people that are part of your team, listen to that feedback, making sure that they feel valued and that they can make an impact. That's the way it's worked for me.
Last question for today. Dealers out there, fixed ops directors, service managers are hearing a lot about AI. They've been hearing about it since, over the winter at NADA and so on. If they were to ask you about Blink, okay, and your experience with Blink, if you only had like 30 seconds, to give them the elevator story, if you would, what would you say, Dustin?
I would tell them that, if you're looking for something that's going to make you more efficient, make your team more efficient, is going to help your customers. The owner of my organization challenged us recently, increase your ability to say yes. And I think that Blink does that. It helps us increase our ability to say yes to the customer. We've seen, just last quarter, I think Blink's handled 1,700 appointments for us, and which calculated to about 50 hours of time freed up for service advisors. That's 50 more hours that you get to have your advisors out there spending with their customers. Seems like a no-brainer to me.
Very well said.
Very well said.
Ashleigh, I like that. I like it real strong. All right. So Dustin, fixed ops director, you're at Clearlake Nissan in Houston. Ashleigh, if our audience wanted to learn more about Blink and how you can help them, what's the best way for them to reach out with questions and so on?
You can go right to blinkai.com. You can chat with me live there. It is actually me. And I'm also on LinkedIn all the time. So if you have questions, you can reach out on LinkedIn as well, or just give us a call, and I'm happy to help. And Dustin, thank you so very much for being an incredible partner, and for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Dustin, she's better than AI, right? So
that's right.
And Dustin, congratulations again on becoming a Fixed Ops Roundtable certified dealer. So appreciate all you do for the industry.
Thank you.
Continued success at Clearlake Nissan. So
I appreciate that.
Everybody, Blink AI and the team here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
The fastest pit change in a Formula One race took 1.80 seconds. At Blink AI, we say challenge accepted as we take your dealership from zero to hero with our platform that's purpose-built to shift the customer experience into high gear. Unlike solutions that promise efficiency with AI chatbots, Blink AI turns your dealership operation into a profit powerhouse. With Blink AI, you get scheduling solutions that work together to increase your bottom line. It's about turning interactions into actions that drive dealership success. We're talking about intelligent phone automation and seamless scheduling that increases appointments without increased overhead, and workflow automation that eliminates service bottlenecks and boosts staff productivity, and a customer campaign solution that proactively engages customers and increases CSI scores. Blink AI, your dealership's #1 pit crew.
Our next segment will make you say ooh la la. It's the Snell Parts Boutique Panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Ted Ings. We are in Dallas, Texas at the Snell Motor Company at their Jaguar Land Rover dealership. I'm here with Kaylee Felio from PartsEdge, our great friend at the Roundtable. And Kaylee, I'll ask the folks who are with us here today to introduce themselves, starting with this gentleman right here.
Zach Carter. I'm the parts manager for Land Rover Frisco.
My name is Romeo Titus. I'm the assistant parts manager at Land Rover Dallas.
Sean Cawthon, parts manager at Land Rover Dallas.
And Kelly, the Snell Motor Company is a client of yours at PartsEdge, if I'm not correct.
Yes, they are.
I know you had some questions to ask the group today, so if you don't mind, I'll let you get things started.
Absolutely, yes. I wanted to ask you guys, what about PartsEdge, or what has PartsEdge done to help you become more efficient? And I think I want to start with Sean, because our relationship goes back to 2008 working with PartsEdge, so long time.
I've been with PartsEdge for a long time. And it was great for me to be able to get PartsEdge to come in here because of the efficiencies and things that they brought in my past. But with PartsEdge, with the sourcing and availability, the reports, they make a parts manager's job a lot more doable without having to spend hours and hours looking at spreadsheets or data. It puts everything into a nice sourcing table to be able to read it and save time and process orders faster, sell parts easier because you know where they're at.
Romeo, but what about you from your perspective, the PartsEdge?
My perspective, I typically, I'm on the end of it. I do all the parts ordering, so it makes my life a lot easier. Instead of spending hours going through an order, find out what I need to order, not need to order, I just run a report and it just breaks it down to a simple report, and I just go through it. Take me a few minutes to go through it, just process the order and submit it instead of spending hours looking at it.
And Zach, your location is a different JLR location. Tell us about from your perspective.
It's really freed up a lot of my time that I was spent, looking at returns and obsolescence and trying to manage that aspect of it. I was, spending, multiple hours a day looking at different, looking at the sources that I did have and, what was aging in it and what wasn't. And now I'm able to, spend an hour and nail down what I need to send back.
Sean, how important is it in this day and age for you to be able to find efficiencies in parts and to make your day more efficient and, again, have that trickle down throughout your organization?
And also, too, if I may add, how does that equate to value and profit, too? Because I think a lot of time what happens is I don't think a lot of people realize how much time the parts manager takes to read the data and look at and dig for what they really need to dig for to make decisions. So
reporting is a big part of it, and the availability of PartsEdge to be able to call them and ask them for help or find specific data. But looking at source tables and stuff like that, finding day supply or sales or any of these items that a parts manager would look at on a normal basis, to be able to have it done for you, have parts movement within a rim source or a non-rim source, and just look at that data and be able to identify with it and move on, and not spend all day trying to dissect it and what it means or what it looks like. You know, one of the biggest things it's done for me is at one point we were over $1 million in inventory. Since PartsEdge just came in and helped us ratify the sourcing tables, you know, I've been able to drop my inventory down to about 830,000. Still have a really high turn rate, so our investment is a lot less, but our turn rate is really high, and we're not losing sales per se. It's, you know, the turn rate's way high, so it's a lot more cost effective for the dealer group in that manner.
Romeo, a lot of people in the dealership wonder what the parts manager actually does, but a lot of your time is spent, like Sean just says, at looking at these tables and all that. Talk to us about that a little bit, if you would.
Well, from my perspective, it's freed up a lot of our time. Now, I go back to Texas, you know, a few minutes for myself to go through the order and decide what I need, and now I can get up and walk around and manage people, like what's going on our day to day. We have a body shop. I take a day a week. I go to the body shop and spend a day at the body shop just to make sure that everything is running productive over there as well.
Sure.
So that's what it's done for me. It just frees up time.
Zach, from your perspective as well?
Time. I mean, it's time is key, and you know, spending time with my employees and training them and growing them in the business, and not having my day just tied up digging into the numbers. I'm able to actually, you know, interact with my my personnel and you know, grow them with the business.
I think the biggest part about that is we're spending time working on the business, not in the business.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
It gives us time to grow our people. Before we sat behind the desk looking at numbers, and now we have time to get up and find out what's going on, see if they need any help, or coach them along the way. Everybody needs help sometime.
We all need a coach, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody needs a coach. And if you're tied up with a lot of administrative tasks and looking at the numbers and the data, Kelly, what else would you like to ask these folks here?
I wanted to piggyback on that. And you're talking about everybody needs help. So the deal with PartsEdge is I started with them in 2008. I was a brand new parts manager then, got into the business, had a big head, didn't think I needed any help. My CFO came down and said, hey, we're going to bring these guys in to help you with your material. I said, I don't need that help. I got this. But he came in, and Chuck, I've known Chuck for a long time. And anyway, Chuck came in and he started teaching me. He taught me about all the things that a parts manager needs to know that doesn't ever get taught, because we get tossed into the position and said, here, handle it. Yeah. And there's no training per se, but Chuck really took his arm around me and helped me out and grew me. And it has helped me exponentially in my career.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because that happens a lot sometimes. You know, I talk about PartsEdge a lot, and they're like, well, why do I need this? I don't really, everything is going great. But it just kind of goes to show, just hearing what you guys talk about, is just the time savings and having that support and actually someone that gets you and gets parts.
And I will say on that also is that, you know, it's great for young parts managers and people. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's great for experienced parts managers. It alleviates time to do something else. It is just a wonderful program that helps us on our day-to-day.
And gentlemen, I would imagine there are a lot of parts managers who say, you know what, I don't need any help, right? I can do all this alone, you know, but having a partner like PartsEdge can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I also wanted to talk about just, you know, going full circle, talking about everything, just the inventory management or the return process, kind of digging in a little bit deeper of how we help support you guys in that. Is that something that you guys want to touch on?
Yeah, as far as the return process on my side, I mean, we have parts that
And obsolescence.
yeah, absolutely. We have parts that are protected through the RIM program that we buy from the manufacturer, and then there's some that aren't. Prior to PartsEdge coming on, all that was mixed together, so we really didn't have a grasp on, you know, what we could and what we couldn't return to JLR. So by bringing PartsEdge in, now I'm able to see what's in RIM, what's not in RIM. I'm not wasting money on protected parts, sending them back to JLR. I'm letting them, you know, I'm just letting that naturally happen, and I'm able to, you know, keep the inventory clean with the money that we do get.
Yeah. So like giving you the data, the reports to help with that. And so would you say your obsolescence, or do you know kind of average how much obsolescence you have, or how much it's decreased since you started using us?
So prior to PartsEdge, I mean, I was sitting, I would say probably around 20 to 25,000 in obsolescence, and now I'm just under 5 to 6,000. So,
And most of that is,
and most of that's just a kind of clothing knickknacks, merchandise that you see out here. That
so basically you have zero obsolescence.
right from a parts, an actual hard part. I mean, I have really none.
Yeah, and same with you.
Yeah, we're same way. You know, we use it to get rid of our obsolescence, helping this and figuring out how to order parts efficiently and correctly, and moving fast parts and this and that, and really growing the obsolescence that we can use is a huge game changer, especially for the Land Rover side of it.
And that investment that the dealer makes, it's huge not to have obsolescence. That's wasted money.
Hello. Well, gentlemen and Kaylee, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable and our community, thank you so much for telling us about your experience with PartsEdge here at Snell Motor Company in Dallas, Texas. And by the way, congratulations on being a Fixed Ops Roundtable certified dealer. We appreciate all that you do for the industry, and congratulations to all of you as well.
Thank you.
And Kaylee, congratulations to Fixed Ops Roundtable certified partner now. So,
thank you.
all right. I'm Ted Ings. I'm here with Kaylee Felio. We are here in Dallas, Texas at the Snell Motor Company. We will be right back.
Hear from the go-to parts girl live and in person at our Snell pop-up event.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Ted Ings. We're here in Dallas, Texas at the Snell Motor Company, and I'm here with a great colleague and friend of the Fixed Ops community, Kaylee Felio from PartsEdge. Kaylee, welcome to Dallas and welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having me. Always happy. This is my first time meeting you in person, which is pretty amazing.
We've done, Kaylee and I have done panels for a number of years, right?
Probably 4 years.
Yeah.
As soon as it went virtual, I think, whenever that was.
And you know what? Since that time, Kaylee has left a great impression on the entire Fixed Ops community. So if you don't mind, talk to us a little about some of the resources that PartsEdge offers dealers, some of the things that you are able to offer.
Well, one of the main things when I came into the sales and marketing role was just further providing education and support for parts managers, because everything I always heard was they just got thrown into the position. And not literally, but they were a really good counter person that became the parts manager because the other parts manager retired. And one of the founders, well, both founders are absolutely amazing, but Chuck Hartley was just a resident parts expert, did so much for Dealer's Edge, and I just furthered that along and just making sure that we create content that helps them in their day. And I hear it every single day, like a podcast episode or one of the webinars we've done just helped a parts manager be better. Like they didn't think about some of the things that we talk about. So
in the early days of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, people would contact us after the event and they would say, that was a really good event, but most of what you talked about was service. There wasn't so much on the parts side. And I think you have helped shape that and change that because you've put the focus on the, not just parts, but the people in parts. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about why you focused on the people, why that's so important.
Because parts managers typically get left alone and I think they do typically like that. But I think that I just wanted to bring it to the forefront. They should be part of the conversations when they're part of the leadership conversations. It brings everyone together and real change happens. So that was one of the things. And I was frustrated that every time I would see something online, they would say fixed ops. And I'm like, well, all you're talking about is service. You're not even talking about parts. So I wanted to change that. And that's all we do at PartsEdge. We focus on one really good thing and do it really well. And we're not trying to be everything to everyone as far as that goes.
The dealership that we are at today, this is one of your clients, Snell Motor Company, mm-hmm. and we're about to do some segments. We're going into the parts department. Talk to us about how long they've been with you, how they came to you, and some of the things that you do with them?
Well, it's one of the great stories because Sean, the parts director, he worked with us for a very long time at another location. And when he got here, there was a lot of things that he really needed help with, and he reached out and we got in, and it was great. So I think we were just talking about this. He worked with us probably since 2008. So long time relationship. And that's a lot of our parts managers. When I look at how many, we're working with, there's a lot with 10, 15 years that have been with us over and over again.
Do you see a lot of dealerships where you have older established parts managers and then other dealerships where you have like a new kind of parts manager coming up?
Yes, yeah, we have such a variety. And that's where I get kind of the most frustrated sometimes when I'm talking with parts managers who are seasoned and they say like, oh, this sounds like a great thing for new parts managers. And it really, I'm like, we work with some of the top parts managers in the country running massive operations. I'm like, it's not just for new parts managers, although it's a great thing for new parts managers because there's so many new ones coming in. There's a lot of people retiring.
Yeah.
The growth in the last couple of years, lots of new parts managers, and you have to give them the support because they're managing one of the largest investments in the dealership, and you really think about it.
And you've often compared to the used car inventory to the inventory the dealership carries in parts. So I give you a lot of credit because that's really opened a lot of eyes on a lot of general managers. Kaylee, finally, what's next for you? What's next for Kaylee Felio? You've started to leave your mark on parts, and it's grown and grown. I'm just curious what's on the horizon.
I've been with PartsEdge for so long. I feel like it's my company. I mean, I didn't found it, but I care so much about helping and really creating the brand and growing the company. And it's very exciting. It's such a challenge. I think that's what I love most about it is it's such a challenge to open the eyes and like put it out there. What's next for me is I don't know. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I have the podcast. And I feel like my role is sales and marketing director, but I'm also business development. I'm strategizing on the vision and everything. So I don't really know what that title is, but I'm excited for the future.
All right. Kaylee, we're excited for you as well. Thank you for all you do for the industry and moving parts and fixed ops forward. Okay, so
Thank you.
Kaylee Felio, everybody, from PartsEdge. She's with us here today. We're in Dallas at Jaguar Land Rover, the Snell Motor Company, and we'll be right back.
Obsessed with creating the perfect inventory? Us too. PartsEdge gives you the tools you need to outpace the competition and provide the highest level of service to your customers. PartsEdge is a powerful tool for parts managers to get the job done faster. Imagine what it was like when the impact wrench arrived. It made mechanics 3 times faster. Getting the job done without the latest technology makes it difficult to keep up. Besides all the other responsibilities you have, you work hard to have all the right parts you need when you need them. PartsEdge was designed by parts people for parts people to make that job a lot easier. PartsEdge saves you 4 to 6 hours every week and can increase your sales by 10 to 20% in just 12 months. Not bad for your bottom line. Take your obsession to perfection with PartsEdge. Call us today to find out what PartsEdge can do for you.
It's the golden age of fixed ops. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Roaring 20s Second Swing event.
Point your peepers to the sky with Tyler Nathan from Jupiter Warranty.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. There is huge focus on fixed operations today, in particular warranty and warranty receivables, probably the biggest chunk of revenue that dealerships can expect. Our resident expert is Tyler Nathan. He's with a company called TBF Jupiter Warranty Management. and they work with a lot of dealers, a lot of Fixed Ops Roundtable dealers as well, and they are considered experts in the area. Tyler, welcome back to the Roundtable.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Ted.
Good to see you as well. It was good to see you in New York earlier this summer, and good to see all the interest in fixed operations. Tyler, I don't see this going away. I see more and more focus on that back end, parts and service. What are you seeing there from your vantage point at Jupiter?
Yeah, we're definitely busy right now. We the market's been a little unique this year, and with many changes. So but currently we're having a lot of dealers sign up, and it's been really good. It's been really strong. The big thing that we're seeing is just like you said, that manufacturers are looking to save some money wherever they can, making changes to the systems, and that's definitely causing some dealerships some pain.
Tyler, the complexity in the vehicles that are out now is enormous. We had a technician, Marco Zwanenburg, tell us about the millions of lines of code in the average vehicle today. Just amazing what's going on. What are you seeing in terms of dealership trends in fixed ops this year? We're seeing a lot of things, but again, that focus on warranty and making sure that it's recovered, that it's claimed for and done properly. And again, a lot of scrutiny on that as well.
Yeah, probably the biggest trend in our niche, if you will, is that everybody, I think this year there's been a lot of uncertainty, and our business does amazingly well in a great economy, and it also does extremely well in a poor economy too, because dealerships are looking to save cost. And so many times they will look around, and that warranty admin is spending, half their day now FaceTiming or something, instead of actually doing work. They're pacing themselves, and that's a fixed expense. And so having a flexible solution in a downtime is a great solution. It's also great in an up economy, because when the economy is going crazy, the dealerships quickly find themselves into trouble due to the fact that they fall behind in warranty. Maybe their admin's having to work overtime just to keep up, and that's cost them a lot of money. And so it makes a lot of sense. But in these uncertain times, dealerships have a tendency to want to sit back and see what's happening. And we had a lot of that in June and July. There was some of our, some of the dealerships were just waiting, trying not to make any change at all, because, scared of what the tariffs are going to do and that sort of thing. And then now all of a sudden, I think we're on the other side of that, and the phone's been pretty busy.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's interesting that a lot of dealerships, I talk to dealership managers who say, oh no, we've got it covered with warranty. We've got an excellent person who handles this franchise or that franchise. You lose one person, or they get sick or something goes down, all of a sudden they're in a great need.
Yeah. Well, and it happens quickly. That's the thing. The average warranty admin to really train a good one takes a year or more. And when you're only going to get a 2-week notice that an admin is leaving, the dealership is, even if they find somebody off the street who doesn't know it, then they're going to be, the service manager is going to be bogged down in training for the next months, several months, just to get the admin up to speed and to submit the majority of their claims. Then it's going to take them quite a bit longer before they become really proficient and be able to answer all the questions and be able to respond to the OEMs. And here's the interesting thing, is that many times there's kind of 3 people in the world when it comes to our business. And there's one person who just usually isn't going to be good at warranty no matter what. And those folks, we've learned how to pick them out in the beginning, so we kind of avoid mistakes there. But number 2 is somebody who can learn warranty and do well at it, but is never going to be efficient or fast. And so those folks you can spend a lot of time with, trying to train them and work with them, and you're hoping they're going to speed up, but sometimes they just don't. You have to be a quick and accurate thinker. And so that other third group is generally who we hire. And that's one of the reasons why we let the dealerships really train those folks ahead of time, in a sense. And we already hired folks with experience. We vet them, and we do working interviews with them and make sure that they're both those things that we're looking for. Somebody who's fast, they're accurate, so they're efficient, and then we can put them to use. Yeah.
So Tyler, your company, Jupiter Warranty Management, you work in dealers with dealers all across the country. What are some of the common things or common challenges that you see? And I know you travel a lot when it comes to installation, dealers getting started with you at Jupiter. What are you seeing as common challenges for setup or for new programs as well?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the managerial style. Some dealerships are just, you might have a manager who's a great salesperson, maybe is great working with the technicians like them, but they generally will have this warranty person who's actually doing a lot of their managing as well, because and providing them information. And let's say that person is their warranty admin is now gone, and then we come in, and of course we're going to have to work with their team to make sure that we're getting, we'll have to have the information that warranty admin was maybe running around and collecting. In some ways, they almost, those in-house admins could kind of become a little bit of a nanny for the service department, if you will. And now that sounds good on the face, and it does work in some cases, but the problem with it is that the team becomes sloppier and more dependent on that person, because the technicians may be writing poor stories, and that person's actually writing the story for some of their techs. They also, they might be running around collecting paperwork and stuff that advisors should know needs to be attached. And so you have this weakness. And so all of a sudden this person's gone. Here we come in, and we're working with that team on how to provide information. That's one of the reasons why we meet with the techs and advisors. We go through quite an extensive amount of training with them during a day. We don't tie you up too long, but we do need an hour with the techs and advisors. And then we also are working with service to make sure that they don't become that nanny, right? In other words, if we've sent all of our information to the service manager and they're running around the shop getting us stuff, that could be a big chunk of their day, and you don't want your managers doing that, nor do they want to do that. And so it's very important that we interact directly with those who write up the tickets. And so we have a whole process where we set that up, and where we reach out to the advisor, wrote the ticket, we CC the manager, and we have a process that they follow to ensure that makes it simple. But again, it's one of those things where you can lead a horse to water sometimes. Sometimes we'll have a manager, we'll go over it all, and they'll kind of, over time, they might navigate back to handling it the way they used to, in a sense. And so that could be a little bit of a struggle sometimes. But the dealerships that implement the managerial process that we have in place love the program. Looks good.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, Tyler. So just because a dealership signs up with Jupiter Warranty Management, we've got to realize there's going to be training involved, and you're coming in store in many cases. Okay, I know you travel as well. And, so how do you approach that? You mentioned, there's technicians, there's a lot of people, who that warranty manager, if you will, may be providing information for. What do you do in those meetings? What are some of the things that you cover? If you don't mind, give us a little insight into that training in the store.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of it is always is even in the sales process. So we start explaining this managerial process and what and how we're going to interact with the claims. And then when we get there, we do spend time with the service management on like things as simple as where the ROs are going to print. That's important because, if we just print to where the advisors, when we close it or into the system and not print anything, that causes process issues for them, because it's best if what we try to do is save everybody's time. And if that advisor wrote the ticket and is responsible to help us get it closed, then we want them to have access to the paperwork should we need something. If they're having to walk around the dealership and look for paperwork, so a lot of it is kind of helping the dealership understand what's the best thing to do with the paper, where it should print, all of this sort of thing. And then also we meet with the advisors and techs, and we explain this to them. And we have a little process too where we notify them either through the DMS and or email and other ways if and it makes it easy for that management to know that their people are responding and replying to us. We have a system where it tells the manager basically they just have to do a couple of things each day. They have to check to see if the advisor has been responding and replying to us, and that's the big thing that we need them to do. And as long as they're doing that, their team actually gets better, because what happens is we start holding their advisors accountable, and then their advisors start holding the technicians accountable for stories, and of course they're double checking ROs, for parts and that sort of thing, and then the whole team gets better.
And Tyler, many technicians are not exactly eloquent when it comes to writing up, what they've done on the vehicle. Talk to us about that, because I know a lot of service managers are very much aware. Maybe not every general manager is, but how do you deal with that? And because it's a people business, right? And we've got people documenting these stories, which are going to be checked by the OEM.
Yeah, and every OEM cares about certain things, like the 3 C's, complaint, cause, and correction. And when we're there, we're going to talk about these things and what little pitfalls that technicians find themselves in these areas. And we're able to say it in a way and display it that rather than just having the service manager or a warranty clerk nag at them some more, we're coming in, we're professional, and we're talking to them. And they understand that we're like H&R Block. We're here to get them paid to the fullest, make it easier on them, and protect them from audit, right? So we're professionals. And so generally they will listen better to our advice. And we have handouts that are specific to each OEM. So we'll come out there, and so because each one's a little different, for instance, Ford has a repeat repair form and a log, and so many Ford dealerships I go into, they're not even following that. So there's a lot of times that they're creating some audit liability that they're not even aware of. These different dealerships, and like Hyundai and Kia, they require, if there's an add-on repair, that not only did the service manager sign the hard copy, but they want the customer to sign near the added line on the invoice copy. So not just at the bottom, but also near that added job. So there's little things like that these dealerships are unaware of. And so we go over all of that with them, as well as teach them how to clock and write a great story. So they can maximize the RO in a lot of cases when they run into either like they need time for straight time, and but they have to remember to put the job on hold or something and go back into it, run extra time. So there's a lot of detail, and that's what fills that hour with the techs and advisors. And it's generally we get very good responses from our training.
You mentioned that the dealership may not be aware. They would become aware when it's an audit, okay? And they find out that the manufacturer was looking for that extra signature, like you just said. How do most dealerships react when you come in and show them things like this that you are familiar with because you're an expert with that particular OEM? And you've got people who handle just those OEMs. What is the dealership's response when they hear, the guidance that you're giving them?
Well, I love when I'm doing a training and the general manager takes the time to actually attend the meeting, because service managers, they've heard it before and they love it too. Because they're like, hey, this is great. But sometimes you can just see their eyes opening and go, wow, I did not know that. And they'll say that. We did not know that. We're going to have to start doing that. And so it's a great piece of it. So yeah, it's definitely rewarding. We love to have upper management attend the training meetings. It's good things.
There's not just technology or new technology in the cars, but also throughout the dealership these days, in service departments and parts departments, in fixed operations. It seems like it's been ripe for disruption, Tyler. How has technology impacted claims processing, okay, from your vantage point there at Jupiter, including, efficiency, for the dealership as well?
Yeah, so one of the things is that we're seeing the OEMs use technology to make claim payment a little more difficult.
Oh.
Yeah, so like for instance, some of them require you to scan or to send them digital images on every RO if it's not, just maintenance or like a recall, right? They'll let you slide on that, but otherwise they want to see the story, the time punches. They're almost auditing every ticket, in a sense, not a full audit, but a portion of it, and they'll gladly deny the claim and have the dealership have to eat that expense, 100% of it, even though so it's very they're using a lot of technology like that. Hyundai and so forth. They've also used a lot of photo imagery in there with their technicians and things like that. So a lot of them are using more of this stuff, and that makes it a little more on the training aspect too, because again, if the dealership doesn't do those processes properly, even if we catch it after the fact, if the vehicle's gone, sometimes it's there isn't any way to fix it other than to let them know that they handled that claim improperly. So it comes back to training. But yeah, and some of the systems are have made some improvements, as far as we've seen improvements in dealer, company representative approvals. Now some of them are moving into like more of an automated system where they can track it, and a lot of the test equipment that technicians use uploads right into the cloud, so that way the manufacturer has knows that the actual test is working, and they compare that to the warranty claims. Now, one of the things that we recommend is that the dealer still prints a copy of that, because we have had cases where one of the OEMs said that they didn't have any proof that the test was ran, even though the dealership ran it and they didn't have copies to go on. So it's always good for the dealership to always print out a hard copy, or and get that scanned into their system or something. Anyway,
and Tyler, you work with so many dealers. I mean, you see these things start to bubble in small areas, but you can see when there's trends for a particular manufacturer, and I imagine you can alert some of the dealers who are on the Jupiter platform because of that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm the only, if you will, jack of all trades in our company. That my focus is on what each OEM, will charge back and what they require on the ROs. But I don't fight with those individually and submit claims to each one of those different OEMs. And so that's why we, in order to really give the dealership the best experience, we have, experienced admins who focus on one or two admins, usually at the most. A lot of our admins just do a single line, and then they're experts at that line and exactly what that OEM requires on the repair orders. And they continue to work with the dealership and continue to do training through those communications, with the advisors and management. And so my goal is to set up a process where at the dealership where they understand what to do with that information, so that the quality of their claims continue to improve as we're processing.
Tyler, I'm curious, what are you hearing around the industry? Not necessarily at Jupiter, but what are you hearing around the industry when it comes to OEMs and warranty and dollars receivable and things such as audits, where manufacturers are now looking at, there's a lot of dollars going out from the OEM to the dealer. And in terms of scrutiny, what are you seeing out there, and what advice could you give dealers? Because I would imagine, like I don't file my own taxes. You mentioned H&R Block. It's good to have that H&R Block out there, working on my behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the OEMs, it seems like some of them are trying to recover cost through making the system either a little more difficult to get approval. They're also, it seems that some of the OEMs are taking a heavier audit approach. So we, of course, watch for those trends, and sometimes they flat out will tell you, once in a while an OEM will come out and say, hey, we're planning to audit everybody during this period of time, or it's some of them come around every 2 years or so period, and then many other ones just use audits kind of as a club and run it based on your numbers, and then compare you to your peers in most cases. But they all have reserved the right to come in if they know that there's something's going on that's improper. And so our goal is to do a couple of things. One, keep the deal. If we can keep them out, that's what we're going to do. We're going to work with you to keep your numbers in line, and we'll help you address costs as they come up. In other words, they're comparing you against your peers. If your cost is higher, there's probably a reason for it. We need to look into that reasoning. And then, of course, with our admin being able to do multiple dealerships in that same make, they are able to say, hey, I don't see so many of these ROs from these other dealerships as I do in your case. And so that really gives you that third party insight. And then we can try to work with the service management to find out why they're writing more of these types of tickets up. Maybe it's like additional labor that they're asking for, maybe it's additional straight time, maybe it's just the types of repairs that they're doing. But once we address those root causes, we can help them get their costs in line, and it keeps them out of trouble. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and we'll work with your team to avoid audits, and we're very successful at that. Most of our dealerships don't see an auditor, and when they do, if you're following our advice and doing the things that they come out well. So.
You've had a number of dealers who utilize Jupiter Warranty Management Services. A lot of groups on here, big groups, and they've told us just that as well, Tyler. So I'm a dealer or a fixed ops director or a general manager. I'm watching this today, and I may have questions. I may have somebody who's working for me, nearing that retirement age, or just want to get your viewpoint on a couple things. Can our audience reach out to you with questions that they have, in terms of their franchises and their particular scenario?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Probably the easiest thing to do is go to our website. There's a contact page. You fill out that contact page, and then we'll be in touch with you, and it'll have the information. You can, of course, call the number below. That's actually my cell phone number. If I'm busy, leave me a voicemail, and I'll be glad to respond or have somebody call you back as soon as possible. And what we do is we do a presentation generally, and that really helps the dealership see the teamwork that we apply to each account and how we address certain things. So that's a good thing. But the big thing you got to watch out for with somebody that is retiring is keep in mind that with us, you're always going to get skilled labor. And because of that, there's always limits. Okay. So in other words, you don't want to, let's say you've got a GM dealership and you need help in GM. Okay. Well, if we call us up and we currently signed a bunch of GM just recently, and we're growing that department, but we don't have a skilled GM admin, we're not going to take it in and give it to somebody else. And so in some cases, we might not be able to take on an account for a short time. Now, that means that we could float on bringing you in, but the problem is if your admin's already gone, you really can't afford to float. So sometimes, unfortunately, dealerships will find themselves in that predicament. So what we recommend is that if there's going to be change, don't wait until the last minute. If it's coming 4, 5, 6, even 6 months or a year out,
reach out.
Reach out and then talk to us. And then also there might be a good way that we can get you on the list of, you make your decision early. And then that way we know we can have the resources available when we start with you. And there's also a nice transition period if you have that employee still in place for a couple of weeks after retiring before, as we're coming in, so that they can help assist with that. So good thing.
Right. Everybody, Tyler, Nathan, Jupiter Warranty Management, they know your business firsthand. They understand it. They can answer your questions, and they work with a lot of dealers very successfully. TBF Jupiter Warranty Management. Look down below, everybody. You see the website, and you see Tyler's cell phone there. And again, he's the man to reach out. He is the best in the industry, so no question about it. Tyler, on behalf of the Roundtable, thank you for all you do for fixed operations, helping our dealers stay ahead of the curve, ahead of what's happening. And thank you for updating us on the state of current events in the industry in terms of warranty.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ted. Thanks for having us.
Tyler, Nathan, everybody, Jupiter Warranty Management here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
For most dealerships, warranty administration is one of the least satisfying segments of their business. It is difficult to staff, claims expire quickly, losses are common, and there is an even greater risk of audit liability than with the IRS. Luckily, TBF Jupiter Warranty Management is here to help you improve claim quality, accelerate cash flow, increase revenue, reduce audit liability, and simplify operations with seamless integration. Much like the IRS, each manufacturer has created its own complex system for warranty administration. TBF Jupiter Management starts by requesting volume information from the dealer. This is so we can ensure that you will receive an OEM-specific warranty administration expert. Next, a consultant will visit your dealership to conduct on-site documentation training with your entire service team. Once administration begins, our assigned admins log directly into your DMS system to work on open but completed warranty repair orders. When the RO pays on the next statement, our posting team posts the revenue directly into the dealer's accounting, leaving differences on the schedule for review. And you will never have to ask us about an age discrepancy because our statements team reviews your warranty schedule each month and creates a status report of all aged balances. These overlapping teams make our service the best in the industry. Our dealers have a personal relationship with their assigned admins, and those admins get support from our entire team. That support allows our admins to process more claims than other systems and improve their efficiency. Since we collect more, improve claim quality, and cost less, the real question is, why would you do anything else? To learn more and receive a personalized quote, please visit our website and complete the online contact form at warrantymanaged.com.
You might have noticed that Ted and I are on the move, and that's because we are now hosting Fixed Ops Roundtable pop-up events. We are on our way to a dealership near you with spontaneous events in amazing dealership spaces to highlight the people in retail service, parts, and dealerships worldwide. Stay up to date where we're headed next by following the Fixed Ops Roundtable on social media.
It's not the Roaring Twenties without the Rohrman Recharge panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Maureen Martin with Dynatron Software. We're at Zwanenburg Honda of the Rohrman Automotive Group. We have a powerhouse panel with us today, Ted.
Maureen, we really do, and really grateful to the leaders here at Zwanenburg Honda. If I can, let me just have them introduce themselves and tell our audience what they do.
My name is Omar Shabazz, Service Director, Zwanenburg Honda.
My name is Matt Ashford. I'm the General Manager, been with the group for 29 years.
And my name is Nick Ruffalo. I'm the Fixed Operations Director, and I've been with the group since 2008.
So, gentlemen, Maureen and I want to ask you today about Rohrman Recharge. For anyone who's not heard of it, Matt, perhaps you could take us through it. What exactly is Rohrman Recharge?
Yeah, so the Rohrman Recharge is we do it regionally. We have a large organization that's Illinois and Indiana. So we have 3 different sections that we hold it, but we hold a quarterly training session on what we feel is maybe our biggest opportunities. Perhaps it's used car sales, perhaps it's ROs, however, whatever we're working on. So it brings the entire organization of service writers, salespeople, BDC agents, managers, and we bring them all and we have sessions on the things that we think we can improve on the most. And we combine that with a lot of entertainment. It's really a great deal. And we do it outside. We bring everybody outside of it. So it's a 2-day event. We take half the store one day and the other half of the store the other day. And we do it at a offsite location where everybody can really dive into what we can learn about the business.
Love it. Nick,
Yes.
So, how do these events really recharge your people in addition to their skills that Matt talked about?
Well, that's a simple answer there. I mean, we're getting them out of the stores. They're doing something and being a part of something that they're not used to having, especially if they're new with us. And they're walking into this ginormous auditorium where we have a theme of one of our last ones. One of my favorites was the Mission Impossible theme. When you walked in, there's the fake smoke flying around, and there's fighting scenes that we have actors that we brought in, and there's the breakable chairs and the fake glass bottles, and everyone's on edge. And then you walk out and you're like, wow, okay, now I'm ready to get trained. So it's not like, okay, here we are today, guys, sit down, here's your training, and you start to fall asleep there. So you're walking out of it already pumped up, ready to go, and then you go into your session, and then we break out for a while, and then we get back downstairs, and we had things going on within lunch, and we go back to our session again, and the folks go back home or back to work, and the success coming back when you walk into the stores and just people acknowledge you, like, hey, that was a great session. Like, you know what I'm saying? A great recharge session. So more and more there to get excited now to be part of that. It's great.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Nick, if I can follow up, what are some of the things that you focus on during these recharge sessions? Can you give us a couple examples, maybe a couple topics that you work on?
You know what? One of my favorite ones I think that we did for our service advisors and our BDC staff was when we played telephone, and just to see the difference on how a message, like back in the day when we did this at school, we did it with our staff, just relaying that message down on how skewed it got by the time it got to the end, and we were able to identify where that break was. And, you know, not so much where people were slouching in their seats, but they, you know, it goes back to sometimes, and I could be guilty as well, you know, we listen to respond rather than understand. And that was one of the big takeaways I wanted out of that session there. So, it was good.
So let me ask all of you, how often do you run these? And I'm getting a feeling of the energy, but tell us more about what the energy is like in the room.
We run them quarterly now, and as Nick was just saying, it's great because we get everybody out of the store. So,
and how important is that to get them out of the store?
Oh, it's fantastic because look, when we're in the store, we're working, and you're either working or you're not working, right? So to try to do some kind of training while you're in the store, it's difficult. So we get everybody out of the store, and then that energy level is absolutely fantastic. Our last one was
Let's Make a Deal.
Yes,
let's make a deal. It was really fun.
Everybody was out in costumes and running around, and then we were playing games, and we were playing the Let's Make a Deal. They're throwing chickens at people, and I mean, you know, it was really, really great. But that, you know, that just, it goes back to the fun factor, right? So everybody gets to have a good time. You're relaxed, and then we go off and we separate and go into our classrooms, and it's a great takeaway. So it's really good, and it's very, very nice to be able to, again, get out of the store and go somewhere and where you're actually you're there, right? You're concentrating on what you're doing. You don't have phone calls, you don't have people in front of you, and it makes it very, 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 very good.
I think it's the mix of entertainment and education that truly defines it. And you know, if you just take somebody out of the store and start having them take a test,
right,
you know, on learning this, do you know this, do you know that? I mean, it's just that's just a burden really to them. But I think when you're able to provide that entertainment value, it frees the mind up to accept some education as well.
And participation.
Okay. And Nick, this includes fixed operations.
100% of those. So
absolutely.
Yes. So you'll have our entire fixed operations will be in there. Sales has their sessions as well. So no, it's like Omar was saying, getting the staff out of it. And our closing statement when we leave, I'm always at the door saying thank you, you know, shaking everyone's hands and getting the feedback right there, saying this was awesome, or when's the next one? That's when you know it's working. Now they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. So,
Well,
we know the takeaways are being taken.
I would say they clearly love it themselves. But we'd be really interested to hear what's some of the feedback you've gotten from your employees themselves. I mean, I'm sure there's been some aha moments when they've walked in your office or came to you after. So share with us a little bit about what some of the employees have said.
I mean, the employees, like any training, right? Or however you want to put it, if you can walk away with something, right? I mean, it was well worth it. You know, we're not expecting somebody to take away every single thing, but when you come back and say, you know what, I'm glad we touched on that. I forgot about that. Or, you know what, that was great. I really didn't think about that. Then, you know, we're into it, right? Everybody's understanding what's going on. Now they can use it in their daily life. They can use it, you know, at work, and it's great. And then when you see it actually happening, and you see things going like, recharge.
You see it really connecting with them, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, you know, it's when you see it in their performance and they see how that can impact their paycheck. You know, entertainment, education, great. But at the end of the day, we are a performance-orientated business. We want to see you perform better. And it's when you see them take that skill set that you taught them at that training and go, hey, you could have shot this video in this way and said this instead of the way that you did it the other time. This might be more informative to the customer. This might make it easier for them to understand why this repair needs to happen. And when you do that, and then they get that larger ticket, they get that the more hours, they get whatever that is, and then that then comes into their paycheck. I mean, that's the win. And you see them light up, you know, when they went from, you know, X hours and they went up 12%, 15%, simply because they changed that one thing. So I think it's the output that I most love to see. Of course, to get to that point, it takes all of what we're doing at Recharge, but it's when they see it at that, on Friday when it deposits into their bank account. That makes me happy.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's
Dave,
for
how
me.
about you? Something that really struck
Alluding right where Matt left that off at is, I'm walking into the store daily, different stores, and having team members of ours come up to me and just say, that was a session I took away. I'm like, what did you take away? And they actually tell you exactly what they took away. You see them doing it at the time, like we did a write-up one and how to greet a customer, and they're actually performing at that level. It's rewarding because we do put a lot of time and effort into this. And for them, like I keep saying, like drinking the Kool-Aid, now it's like they're looking forward to that next one because what's in it for me, and I know what's going to work there. So
and have a
it's
little
exciting.
fun, right?
Yes.
At the same time. I love it. Love.
Matt, does this reinforce the message of Rohrman as being one of the very best automotive groups to work for?
100%. It's we continue to evolve in all the right ways, and this is just one facet.
Yes.
We're evolving in technology, we're evolving in how we treat our customers, and we're evolving in how we train our employees. And again, that comes all the way back to, do we care? And we absolutely do.
Maureen, isn't this refreshing to hear this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we have the privilege to be with dealerships all across the U.S., and it's just absolutely been a privilege to spend time with you and your team. And I feel recharged myself. So I think we're good.
We'll invite you to
So
that.
I guess no mission is not impossible, right?
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal.
That's a deal. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for telling us and explaining more about Rohrman Recharge. Maureen, Martin, and I are here at Schaumburg Honda. We're part of the Rohrman Automotive Group. Maureen and I will be right back.
Spotlight the freshest fizz in fixed ops with our BDC to Advisors panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at Schaumburg Honda, part of the Rohrman Automotive Group. And Ted, this is a topic that is really, really prevalent in our industry.
It is, and I also know it's likely dear to your heart as well, Sarah, with your background. So everybody, if you would, introduce yourselves kindly, your name, your position, what you do here.
My name is Dave Su. I'm the Assistant Service Director for the group, and I also run the centralized BDC for 15 out of the 20 stores that we have for the Rohrman Automotive Group.
I'm Ashleigh Norton. I am VP of Marketing at Blink AI now. I've spent 10 years in the industry building service BDCs and training, so a lot of background with service BDC as you do as well.
I'm Jody Nitty. I am the BDC manager here at Schaumburg Honda.
Go right into order. Well, Dave, I want to kick things off and just set the stage because Rohrman has a very unique program where BDC has the opportunity to become service advisors. So set the stage. How did this program get started?
So, as we were going through a bunch of resumes for service advisors for our needs, people leave, or things happen, but we were looking out there and just find a lot of people, with resumes that jump from store to store every other year. And every time we bring them in, it just doesn't seem to quite fit our culture, and they bring a lot of bad habits. So what we realized is, you know what? We started with one guy, right? He was the trial run. We put him through our test, like the guy that's always showing up on time, always more than glad to help the other BDC agents, just really engaged. He wanted to prove himself as the next person that can really come up and do something else, right? And we find him the right seat on the bus. And we had him train at another dealership for a week, just as a greeter, assisting other service advisors. Then we bring him to Schaumburg Honda, see what different processes are like. And then we send him to the store and excelled beyond our wildest dreams.
Wow.
And I think that going forward, we just really want to build our own team, right? give these guys that are starting from the bottom something to look forward to. There's
Every
not.
tool too, you know what I mean? I think the tools in the back end
Mhm.
really come out when they get on that floor, as an advisor, there's so many behind the scenes things that even our old time advisors don't even know because they never went through that. And you can tell the difference
Yes.
between old time and our new,
Yes. I think that they really realize what a good communication can do for our customer service. I think that's first and foremost. Communication is key.
So, Jody, if I can ask, what's the journey like for a team member going from the BDC to the service?
So it may be different for everything here. Here in this store, we started it probably 3 years or more, right? Any advisor, even if they were hired as an advisor, they had to spend a month in our BDC. Now, when I felt like they were ready to go, that was the plan, a month. But if I didn't feel that they were not ready, Omar, Jeremy at the time, or even Eric, now we would talk about it, give them a little bit more time. Most of the time, they are ready to go. We actually, at this point right now, I have one of my BDC girls. She's been with the department for a little bit over a year. I went to Omar and Eric. I said, she's ready. She's ready. So that's my goal, to get girl, guy, whoever, ready for you to go out there, so. Mhm.
And more importantly, they learn how we introduce ourselves over the phone, our service pricing, the tools that we use, as you mentioned earlier.
Maintenance. I mean, they learn, so they're not just appointment takers, They do a lot with parts, with the advisors, with the techs. They have so much interaction, so they already know.
But I imagine their service communication skills are just so much better than coming in off the street, or like you said, coming from another store where they may have bad habits, because we do spend a lot of time in the BDC training on communication skills, customer experience, and really excelling at the customer experience. And I think from the BDC side, you also see where the gaps are in some of the advisors and how you can better yourself to fill those gaps.
Absolutely.
Dave, why is this such a win-win for not only the employees but the customers?
I don't want to look for people that work for us that are just, hey, I'm here to make a call, right? I mean, I want them to think of this as building their career. And it helps the PDC agent to be more engaged to our customers and really try to focus on their needs. Because once they learn that, they can progress to anything else that they do in life. I say that to a lot of my BDC agents.
Sure.
Whether things work out, don't work out, there's a lot of skill sets that you can learn how to sell an appointment. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's also a selling skill. It's setting an appointment, but you have to sell yourself first before anything else.
Yep.
So, it's not as simple as, hey, do you want an appointment? No, it's, hey, how are you doing? Let's engage together. Have a
You're
conversation.
building relationships too,
So,
Jody, what skills make someone stand out as a candidate for this program?
The communication, how they can deal with things under stress, whether they're getting
Sure.
yelled at on the other line with a customer. I want it now, explaining, I mean, service has a lot, right? Like all your maintenance stuff, they need to know why we need this done with our car. So, I mean, then I think that's when they're ready, it's when you really, when you know that they're taking everything on and wanting to learn it, and they're absorbing everything you're teaching. You have others that don't pull it in,
And I think historically, VDCs struggle to keep their agents and get the agents to even show up. So if they have a career path where this isn't just a $10 an hour entry-level job, like this is something I can take further in my life, you slow down that turnover in your BDC.
Absolutely. But I think here, even at the Rohrmans, we don't want them to stay there, right? Our goal as a manager is to make them grow and to move up, whether it's here or somebody else. But I never want somebody just to be stuck, So.
Yeah, 100%. And Jody, how has the customer service experience improved, and what would you say has surprised you the most about the program?
I don't even know how to answer that one. I think really just having the right people in the spot that we have them, and You know when you know when you have somebody. Not everybody can do customer service, I don't believe,
Right, right.
It's not something you can teach.
No.
You can't. We are up against something every single day. You either have it or you don't. I don't really know. That's hard.
And in the service,
like-
in the service BDC, it's such a loveless job. Like,
Yeah.
nobody loves calling
Yes,
to
that's
get
right.
service. So if you can start to be able to handle those,
No customer likes to come here,
pieces.
right?
Right,
Nobody
right.
wants to be
Like,
here.
it's
no
the most
customer-
loveless part of
Yeah.
it.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think just I'm always looking for somebody that's, as Jody said, you can't teach people to be kind, courteous, and to smile, right? You
No.
can't teach that.
No.
And if they have it,
They have it.
They have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know.
Yeah.
We all know within a matter of, it could be a couple days.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you interview them,
And Ashley, this is such a great way to set up training by having the right people
Yes.
going to that training.
Yeah. And you need training. We need to train every single day. I know you train your staff on
It doesn't
phone
stop.
skills.
No.
Yeah, no.
Daily.
Daily role
Daily.
play and
We all can improve, That's what we're here.
We
I
go through a
learn
different
from them,
topic
learn from-
every single day with
Yeah.
just a 5-minute huddle with the agents.
I love that.
Congratulations to all of you on the success you're having. And I'm Ted Ings. I'm here with Sarah Van Dyne, and we will be right back.
We want to and continue to become that epicenter for automotive education, training, thought leadership, and certainly placement of aspiring students for this industry. But it really is our silent kickoff party, as you're going to hear more and more about Northwood University's Center for Automotive and Mobility Studies. It's a remarkable testament to the power of relationships and moreover friendships. And today we've got remarkable panelists discussing all arrays of the automotive retail and aftermarket sectors.
When the next generation millennials and Gen Zs are entering the workforce, they want to know more about career development, professional development. Where do I go from here?
Stay curious. Our industry is changing so fast, and I know that the technology that's out there is going to change the way we look at the world very, very soon.
I think when we look at each other for solutions, you get incremental growth, but when you look outside the industry and look at what the big aggregators are doing, you can get exponential growth.
You can leave here and you can get taught all this great stuff by the school, but what's going to separate you guys is the first link in the chain. It's your willingness to activate it.
Get ready to tango with the Technician Development Panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Ed Roberts here with Gene Ings. And Gene, look at the panel that we have here today.
Oh my goodness, you got a lot of heavy hitters up here, Ed.
Absolutely. We're here to talk to you about tech development. And if that is not sentimental to your heart, it should be. You might want to give yourself a gut check if it's not. You want to kick us off, Gene?
I would love to. Tully, I'm going to start with you. How are we redefining the technician career path to make it more appealing and more sustainable long term?
Great question. I think it starts where you develop your own technicians, right? You're starting with porters. You're starting with people that are coming out of high school, junior colleges, and UTI kind of programs, right? You're getting those people in there, getting them excited about producing those hours. But here's the best part, is we're putting their pay plan in writing. When we come in, the pathway to 55 is in writing. They never have to ask for a pay raise as long as they perform all these great duties. And that is all based around training. And it starts where we bring them in and we have them set up as a shop assistant where there is no commitment. They're working with a mentor. Let's find out if they can fix a car. Can they put a wheel on the car right? Right? We want to know that before we commit to the hourly technician and ultimately over to the flat rate technician all the way to a foreman. But the goal is to have the path in writing when they start so they can go home and be excited about it. That's the whole issue. Make these guys rich and tired.
So Marco said earlier that there is not a shortage of technicians.
Correct.
Now, I know most of our audience would disagree with that, but I would agree with Marco and say there's not a shortage of technicians. There's a shortage of developmental programs for our technicians, yes, to bring them up to where they feel like they have a career in the automotive industry. Tom, what do you do at West Cherry to overcome that obstacle?
Well, I think one of the things first, like our industry can be so backwards if you think about it, right? The more you train, the better you get at your job, the more you learn, the more difficult work you get, the harder it actually becomes to make money, right? You've got to do more and more of that harder work to make the same amount of money. And often the rate raises don't overcome the loss in hours, right? So for us, one of the biggest things is making sure that our technicians know that that's not the case, right? We have multiple different ways for them to earn money. We have different pay plans for senior master level. We have different pay plans for shop foremans, team leader. You know, we have those pay plans so that they understand that we're not just going to work you to death and then throw you away when you get to a point where physically you can't do it anymore. I think it's very important for them to understand that there's that out.
Amen, brother.
Absolutely. Marco, you want to touch on that?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Mainly on the physical part. People don't hold in mind really enough is that after doing this for 30 plus years, I'm hurting. I cannot keep this up in the rate that I used to. So just by physical demand, my pay is doing this. So where in the industry is the gratitude towards me to gaining all this experience over 30 years and being able to transfer the knowledge to the new guys coming in? How are the new guys going to look at the industry when you have the top dogs like myself and like Curtis, who is also in the audience today? The top dogs in the shop are being treated like second-rank citizens and being discarded like, oh, they're done. How are we going to keep these people interested in the industry? The way we do that is by culture. I have said this enough, and I will say it again until you're sick and tired of it. It's all about culture to keep technicians in the shop, to retain new technicians, and to have the technicians that are in the shop right now willing to transfer the knowledge to the young ones. Because why would I hand you stuff for free that I worked for a long, hard time?
So Maureen, you get to see this from the outside approach and partner with stores, and what do you see?
Well, I got to tell you, we have many wonderful partners here today, and I think one of the things that have really kind of struck out is you really have to have the roadmap, and the roadmap starts very young. And as Tully and Mark, you guys have said, is you've got to really bring them in and give them a pathway. And we do that with a lot of different ways. I know we contribute from the standpoint of providing data that helps a technician to understand, what are some of the greatest challenges we have. And sometimes it's opcode usage, right? So to understand that we're doing the right thing, you got to be able to look at those repair orders, and you have to be able to help them to understand that they're having an impact on their own paycheck, but they also do on the dealership. And that really starts to build, you call culture. I always start with behavior. Behavior drives culture. So you want that behavior of teamwork, and you want the technician and the service advisors to see they're on the same team. We're successful when we do it together. So when we can use analytics to help show them when they're being successful. And then we have to really look at capacity and forecasting. We have to say to them, you're going to go to training. You're going to have OEM training, ASE training, all of the things that all of you invest in. And so we've got to know when that's going to happen so that we're able to really make that gross profit in those months, because the entire dealership relies on fixed operations to drive the numbers.
Absolutely.
Amen.
John, we'll go to you on this one, then we'll go down the line and let you guys give some input on it. But has mentorship or apprenticeship helped the success of your operations there at All-American?
Absolutely. So mentorship. So on the new hires, whether it's a UTI graduate, trade school, or just somebody that's coming into the business, we mentorship program with a senior level technician for at least 6 months, so they get the feel how the system works, how the parts department works, how the shop equipment works, and we kind of test their ability, where their heads are, where their hands are at. If they're learning, they're retaining, and we also set them up with web-based training and then into classroom training for OEM. It's a career path, and then after the 6 months, we kind of evaluate, are they ready to go on their own and start in the quick lane or maybe on a mobile service truck or things like that. And as the years go on, the experience becomes in play. The training never, ever ends. It always continues. There's always new product, EVs, new technology. As Marco touched on before, how much complex these cars are today, from the European models down to basic, some of the American-made cars, but they're still very, very complex and always need training. So the mentorship, again, 6 months from there, reevaluate, and then we branch off on their own if they are checking the boxes.
Okay. Adam, what do you guys do at you're at a group of stores, and obviously that creates an even bigger challenge needing them for all of those different franchises. What do you guys do from a mentorship or apprenticeship standpoint?
Well, very similar to what everyone else is talking about. We have a real dedicated approach to taking that young technician, giving them a printed training plan for their online training, their classroom training, raises and or one-time bonuses so that they can see there's more money that they can earn as they go along, right? And then we were working similar also to have them assigned to a mentor in the shop, but we're currently in the process right now actually of transitioning to something that we're getting ready to roll out, which is instead of just having a mentor in the shop, putting them right next to an A-Tech, a Master Tech, in a bay next to them, assigning them to that Master Tech and putting in front of that Master Tech bonus money if they can get that young tech flat rate by X amount of months. So 5 months you earn this, 6 months they're in the shop you earn this, 7 months their flat rate they're gonna earn this, but within 60 days they have to be assessed as to whether they have the drive, motivation, passion, and intensity that they can and will and want to succeed, so we know if it makes sense to continue to invest.
I'm glad you brought up flat rate, and we're going to cycle back to that on our lightning round before we get there. Rob, if you can touch on that from a vendor standpoint as well, a partnership standpoint, and then Joe, this is right up your alley to drive it home there.
Yeah, from a BG perspective, so training is critical, and we had 800 plus reps in the field and throughout North America, so we have a pretty good footprint. So we're in dealerships literally every week training, both on product, sales, process, everything, not just for technicians, but for advisors and management as well. But I think that's the critical piece. We have a thing called BG Certified that every tech, every parts, and every advisor has to go through to help get them there. And then I think the other thing is that, I look at the physical elements of a shop, I was in one in Florida this past week, no air conditioning. I mean, my God, what are we doing, And it's gonna be 95 in Sarasota, and they've got fans going, but that's it, Then the other thing too I look at is, how do we make it a desirable environment to work in, right? So air conditioning, obviously. If you ever been to a Roger Penske store, right, you can eat off the ground in the service shop. And when you go into the tech bathroom areas, spotless, right? You got to kind of take pride in what you do, right? And where you work and what you have. And I think from a dealership perspective, to Marco's point, we got to treat these people like professionals, like who they really are. They drive the most profit in the dealership by far, right? Because they're the ones that are doing the labor services. We're not talking just parts, we're talking labor and parts. So
they are a service inventory for sure.
100%.
Joe, I want you to talk about it from the apprenticeship standpoint as well, but then also take it back to how can we retain those younger guys?
Sure, and so this is always an interesting topic for me. We talk about it comes up on the tech vendor panel a lot. We built a 28-year company on filling 911, I need a Chrysler level 3 technician today needs, right? So this is the other end of that. Well, the problem with Chrysler level 3 technicians is that they tend to come with Chrysler level 3 technician attitudes. So when you go to the other end of the spectrum, and we talk about culture a lot on the tech vendor panel as well, and you could hire for a personality, an aptitude, show them the career path, put them at the start and pair them up with your veterans, show them, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done. Now you can truly build your culture. So yeah, there's always going to be the need for the 911 emergency hire, but when you have that career path and your setup is structured so that those younger guys want to be there and they want to spend 20, 30 years with you, then you can start hiring the people that you want instead of just hiring a resume.
So, Jan, we're getting a lot of valuable information here.
Absolutely. And as someone that's new to the industry, it's really interesting to hear. We talked about roadmaps, we talked about mentorships, and I've been loving to hear what everyone has to say about how we're retaining these younger techs. And I would love to hear a little bit more how we keep them engaged with a sense of purpose and progression as well.
Jim, coming to me first? All right, so I think, and again, it's all you've talked about it a lot, and it's making them feel important. Tully, I believe it's your store. You guys, you put the banners up. You show these are our stars. These are our guys. They're driving profitability. They're an important part of the team. You can talk about money, and obviously the career path's important, and here's where we want you in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But just feeling like you matter, just feeling like this is important. I'm not a grease monkey. I'm here. I'm a part of this team, and I'm important. I think is going to mean a lot to the younger people.
Jim, touch on that as well, if you would.
Sure, it's the same thing. Again, workplace culture plays a huge role in this. So that could make or break any employee. But if it's toxic environment, you're going to fail. If it's a good environment, supportive management team, leadership team is right there in check, and they value the technician's time, the knowledge, the money that they personally spend on their tools. Okay, there's a huge ongoing commitment for the entire career, as Margot could kind of speak to that. And you pay them properly. You have to make sure you pay them properly with the market, if not better than the market. If you want to retain these technicians and you want to continue their education and their growth, and you want them to be long-term players, which is what the goal is what we do, is you want long-term players, you have to treat them with respect. You have to include them in shop discussions, in shop equipment purchasing, make sure that your shop is clean, as you touched on, but with Roger Penske stores, and there's a lot of the stores that are just immaculate stores. The equipment is in working order, it's new, it's modernized. Technology available for them to operate, laptops in their bays, things like that. It just makes a big difference. So long-term commitment is paying them properly, work culture, leadership, continuing their education and training, and that's going to be the answer to retaining those technicians.
Thank you. And Marco, I'm going to come back to you because ultimately we're talking about it to bring people in and give them opportunities, but you've lived in that world and you've apprenticed those guys, and you've brought them up from entry level to replacing you. So tell us some opportunities there.
The best thing you can do is not everybody's a people person. Let's start with that. Some of us are in the shop because we deal better with inanimate objects like cars other than dealing with people. So you have to hold it. It's almost like you're playing matchmaker. You have to play someone that comes into the industry with someone that still, after all these years, is excited about it. You're going to create that by having a great culture in the shop, by having guys being properly paid, etc. Because we talked about ROI. Well, if you pay me $60 an hour, but your door rate is $300 an hour, that's one heck of an ROI. Variable ops can do that. We can do that every dang hour of the day continuously. So invest in us. So take this young guy, put him with someone like me. Smile on my face, wise ass remarks every here and there, but I do what I do. I still love what I'm doing. It's just I feel that it's time for me to, if I would still want to be able to stand up when I'm retired, I need to start doing other things. So place them with people that still have the passion for it, that still like to do it, and that will transform into the passion for them. 100%.
Maureen, do you see some best practices out there with some of your vendor partners that you work with? And
Yeah, I do. I actually like to talk a little bit about Northwood. Last year, a number of us went to the fuel camp, and we learned so much from the young people around the table that we had the privilege to facilitate. And it's really about not only them, but getting their parents. We had triplets just graduated from college, so I'm a mama that is all about where is your future going to be. And it was really the young people at the table that said, we have a phenomenal industry, but we don't know about it. A lot of the programs are being cut in the schools and the community colleges. So we're going to have to figure out a way to utilize all the things we've talked about today to get the message out that the automotive industry is a phenomenal industry to work in. You make a very good amount of money, and we do have the growth plans, and we have all of the things we've been talking about. But they're young people with AI, so we've got to really show them how we're going to really integrate all of that into what we're doing.
100%. Absolutely. And
so I'm going to create a lightning round here. I'm going to start with you, Joe. Has flat rate served its time? So I'm gonna put this in a standpoint, 5 years from now.
Take an easy one.
Has flat rate served its time? And if so, what is the pay structure that we should be chasing?
So this is tough. And again, we talked about this on the panel, and I think we're missing a third party here, right? There's no OEM here, right? So I think it's got to start with them because they've kind of set that in motion. I think being flexible is the most important thing. I talked to a lot of clients, and hey, what's it going to take? I need this level of tech. I need this. I said, honestly, you can't reinvent the wheel. I know you can't lose your 3 best guys because you're bringing in one guy that's going to make more than them. Be flexible, be open to doing a combination of a base plus production. Just be open-minded, I think, is the most important thing.
Rob, 20 seconds or less.
Yeah, same concept. I mean, sales has SPIS, commissions, right? And I think SPIS should play a huge role in this. I think trips, quite frankly, give your number one tech a trip at the end of the year, right? So you have something to work for.
After.
Then and then Penske Automotive Group, I'll use them again. They do a technician, I call it playoff, where they take the top 18 techs throughout their organization and they go to NASCAR or they go to the Indy 500 and they all take the same test and the number one guy wins it, right? And he's awarded a trip after that again.
Awesome. Competition, love it.
Yeah, competition, yeah.
We are definitely taking a look at how to reward our technicians and show them proper appreciation. And recently we identified the technician in our group of 13 brands on one street that made the best multi-point inspection video after looking at hundreds of them. And we sent him with a guest to a New York Knicks game at a suite to say thank you. But I think even more importantly, we went up to the dealership in the middle of the day and walked over to congratulate, thank, acknowledge, and show appropriate appreciation.
It's good.
Yeah.
Continue to pay for experience. First and foremost, you have to pay how much talent is in that individual. The year's experience, the work, the quality, monitoring comebacks, workmanship issues, things like that need to be monitored. Flat rate is in a general, could be classified as broken. There's no doubt about it. It needs to be revised, but never take your eye off the ball and continue to pay your staff properly.
Maureen.
Building on, Penske and Hendrick are also partners of ours, and I always take away that it's about the experience that they create, not necessarily the money. It's about doing something super special with the team. I will say one thing that from Del Grand Dealer Group, they're partners of Dynatron, is they really have made a focus of not waiting to do an annual increase, but to do it at benchmarks along the way, so that everyone sees that they can make a progress as they're going along. And we're really starting to look at that even as our own company about, it's not an annual, it's like, what's our goals? You do a planning, you hit it, you get rewarded, you move on. And we do that with our dealers every day is, once you hit the goal, you got to move the goal. You don't want to keep the goal there, right? So I think that are some of the things we've seen that really worked.
Mr. Hours.
So I'm all about flat rate. I'm all about the American dream. I don't think the American dream needs to stop at 8 hours. When we look at last month, our technicians produced 152% of their efficiency. The average technician did 13.5 hours. 166 of these great technicians did. And that's because we're solely focused on selling the hour. When you're not solely focused on the hour, how many minutes of the day are they at the back counter? How many minutes of the day are they in there looking for a car keys? How many minutes of the day do they have to walk up to the service writer with his Burger King hat on to wait for him? These things take away hours. And when you're solely focused on the hours, our technicians shine. They're so awesome to go. I'm not forcing anybody to overwork. But our goal is that when you have the success in your shop and the culture to sell hours, solely focused, parts back counter people are huge hour killers. Pay them on the hours forecast. Are they involved in making sure that the technician is producing those hours? Because that's what we do. I'm all in on flat rate.
Bring it all in the circle. Tom.
My 20-second pitch. I'm with Tully. I still believe there is a place for flat rate, but it comes down to the leaders that are there, right? What's behind flat rate is technician should win, in my estimation. A technician should win on flat rate always. You should be able to work 40, get paid 50, 60, right? When it gets to a point where the work has changed and that technician is no longer able to do it, as leaders and as we look in shop, you have to be able to change and grow with those technicians and watch those pay plans.
Amen. Marco? Well, since you're talking about my paycheck, I have a thing or two to say. First,
Ready to hire you.
I disagree with Joe. At the end of the week, when I get my paycheck, it comes out of the bank account of my dealership, not of the OEM. It is up to the dealership to, I think, they should come up with a hybrid plan. They should look at each and every individual making that play, because not everybody likes to work on flat rate. Not everybody likes to help a carrot. Like, oh, if you make 80 hours, we're going to give you this. We're human beings. What if I'm not feeling well this week? So you're giving me loose promises, absolutely nothing, but yet you still want me to kill you so you can make your numbers and get your bonus. So it should be a hybrid, and it should be individually. And yes, we can do that. We can pay people differently based on their experience, based on their capabilities, and you can use it to grow them, but you can also use it to retain them if you keep them properly paid.
Yes. And then, so from my standpoint, pay plans should dictate the reward of what they bring to us. Yes. And we have to go back and ask ourselves the question, is flat rate still delivering the reward that we need it to do? I believe that it can. I believe that we have to manage it properly for it to happen. But ultimately, we have to dive back into it and make sure that it's doing what we ask it, what we want it to do. From Uber headquarters, Gene, you want to bring us home?
All right, what a thoughtful discussion we've had here. We are here at the Uber headquarters at World Trade Center. We are the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we'll be right back.
Every day, repair orders hold the key to profitability, but are they unlocking their full potential? Disconnected data, missed opportunities, a blind spot in performance optimization. Introducing Repair Order Insights, Dynatron's game-changing technology that transforms raw repair order data into actionable intelligence. No more guesswork, no more gaps, just data-driven decisions that put you miles ahead. From service managers to dealer principals, ROI arms every decision maker with the power to drive more profit, make faster decisions, and have total visibility.
It takes everything Dynatron's been giving us to make us smarter and does it faster and does it better. I think what excites me about ROI is that it's going to help us optimize more effectively our parts and labor pricing and give us viewership of what is fundamentally bringing down our effective labor rates in real time so that we can activate immediately.
Time is precious. And the last thing I want is my service manager sitting in their office, pulling reports, dissecting numbers, when all that can be done for them and on one platform. So I know every dollar, every penny, every tenth of an hour is very valuable in the fixed operation side. And certainly with what's going on in our world and country and pricing and inflations and stuff, it's more important that we capitalize on everything. And the only way that I know to do that is to have the Dynatron partners at our fingertips and have the data. That's the only way.
And now it's your turn. Are you ready to bring the future of repair order insights to dealerships everywhere? Let's go. Let's make an impact.
Hot on our tail, we've got our next speaker with V Auto by Cox Automotive.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have Patrick Janes of Cox Automotive with us today. And Ted, I understand we've got quite the conversation happening around AI in appraising.
Yep, V Auto again at the center of the conversation with Cox Automotive. Patrick Janes with us today. Patrick, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, great to be here, Ted. Sarah, great to see you as always.
All right, so bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit more. How are we bringing AI now into the appraisal into the appraisal process?
Well, I'll kind of start with the why, which is, we got some serious supply constraints out there with regard to inventory and used car inventory, and the relief is a little ways off yet. So there's a lot of indicators, and Cox Automotive, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of trends, we have a lot of forecasting with Manheim and the auction space and all that, and we know that cars that can be retailable at the used car level are going to remain to be tight through the end of the year. And next year it starts to lighten up a little bit. It's a lot of it's driven from those 3-year leases that just weren't leased 3 years ago. Back in, I won't even mention the time frame. I think everybody knows it now. So that's created some used car capacity issues. And so what we're finding is that dealers have to win every trade, right? I mean, they need that used car business, and they are putting a whole lot more energy into their appraisal processes that we've ever seen historically. And it's our job really as their technology provider to kind of help them with that. So when you think about it, today, there's really two kind of appraisal things that happen. I'll call them appraisal inefficiencies, if you will, if I can call them that we see in the dealer space. And it really comes around the customer needs. And we've done a bunch of research with Kelley Blue Book as one of our partners in the business, who has identified that customers know and are willing to spend a whole lot of time deciding what their vehicle is worth today, right? Amazingly, customers have as many as 3 cash offers on their vehicle before they even kind of go to the dealership and start digging in and saying, hey, am I going to trade this car? Or perhaps maybe I'll just sell it outright. Okay. And we know who the disruptors are, the Carvanas, the CarMaxes, who have been very disciplined and going out and saying, hey, we'll buy your car even, if you don't buy anything from us. And so customers have learned that this is available to them, and they don't necessarily have to sell it to the dealer. So 3 offers for cash offers for each customer. Gen Z folks, our younger clients and consumers that are out there, 4 to 6. Why? Because they just do a whole lot more research, let's face it, right? They're pretty savvy. They grew up on an iPad, right? So they know how to really get out there and find the information. So the other thing that's interesting is the trade-in cycle. Over 100 days now where folks are actually shopping, thinking about, do I trade my car? Do I sell my car? So no more is, we get the customer on the line and say, hey, I saw you were on our widget on the website and you're willing to trade your car. You got to come in here to the dealership. That's always your best deal. Come on in here. They're taking a long time, and they're willing to wait to be able to find the right offer and the right process, with the dealer to be able to do that. And the other thing that we found is they really want transparency. So this was kind of a startling statistic that only 56% of consumers said that they were really giving reasons behind the offer that they received. All right. And I think that rests on some of our dealers and some of the old processes that are out there. Didn't say, this is how I came up with your number. Right. And the consumer, though, said that, however, when I did get the reason, 76% of them took the offer. Like, just give me the reason why you came up with that number. Give me some detail and the rationale as to why that number sticks. So I think there's this fear still at the dealership level about, hey, we can't give numbers. Hey, we got to be careful. We got to get them here. We got to inspect the car. This is sight unseen. Consumers expect that number, but yet they're willing to have a discussion about the reasons that the number is what it is, if you will. So I think that's pretty interesting. So I think that dealers have to address those consumer issues. And the second area that I would dig into is really the risk that dealers have in terms of variances and mistakes that they make on vehicles. And 1, if the number's not right, they're going to lose the deal. But 2, if they put too much money in a vehicle, because guess what? Margin compression is back again. Even though we're in a supply constrained market, it seems like we're back to, serious competitive nature of the car business. Like nobody's giving away cars at this point, and everybody's competing wholeheartedly. And we see a tremendous variance in our software and vAuto from look to books. Trade capture rates are kind of all over the place with dealers. High cost of markets, low cost of markets. It's amazing the variance that we see. We see reconditioning estimates off. We see that more than 50% of reconditioning estimates in a trade appraisal process are off by more than $750. Now, if you're trying to win a deal, a couple $100 can matter, right? But $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 can matter a whole lot, right? And the difference between they're going to take that deal from Carvana or wherever they got their other 2, 3, 4, 5 offers from. So we think that is becoming an issue with dealers. The other statistic, and I know I'm just filling you full of data here, but I think it gives you context around this whole thing and where AI can fit in, is 44%, only 44% of the dealers do a mechanical inspection during appraisal. So they may be doing cosmetic inspections, but they're not looking for some of those more detrimental issues that's going to get the dealer stuck with a vehicle that needs some significant repair. And hey, we know that cars are being hung on to longer. Average mileage of vehicles are way higher than we've seen in a long time because of the scarcity that we had back during the pandemic. So we've got a lot of vehicles out there that have been on the road for a while, and we got to be really careful. The dealer has to protect themselves not to be taken on flood damaged vehicles. I mean, all these things are real important. So I think where AI can start to work for us is to get away from this green Sharpie, I call it, mentality, where we just write on the worksheet, this is how much the car's worth, send the salesperson out and say, go sell that number, without any evidence, without any reasons, and certainly not doing the due diligence that we need to protect the dealership from acquiring an asset that may be a big loser. So I think if the dealer does a better job, both the customer, who's going to appreciate that transparency and that effort, and the dealer is going to be better off because they're not going to take in vehicles that they shouldn't and don't want the risk of.
Patrick, this is so fascinating, and covering those two pieces, appraisal variances and then the volume of appraisals that are coming in. How does AI help dealers address both of these challenges?
Well, that's where, we really dig in, so it's AI in my opinion, and I've heard this from a number of dealers, is AI can start to provide some really great insights, right? We would expect for it to do a lot of math, a lot of arithmetic for us that's going to be able to give us a better idea of probability of sale and all these types of things that would help us better estimate where the car is going to be sold at and how much money we're going to actually put in the car. But the other side of that is AI can now start to help us identify some of these condition issues, right? And we recently partnered with a company called UVI that has fixed imaging tunnels in the service drive, where when these vehicles are driven through that fixed imaging tunnel, they really started out as a service initiative, right? To be able to identify tire tread depth, to be able to do an undercarriage inspection. They have a lot of technology to be able to identify the things the car needs from a service perspective, but they also do an awesome job of finding cosmetic issues. These are things that we should be looking at in reconditioning that we need to do to get the car standing tall, get it through the system, and fix the dents, the dings, even the interior issues that we find. And through AI, be able to generate a report that gives us, to the dollar amount, exactly what that repair is going to take.
Wow.
And allow us now to be able to have a reconditioning estimate that is really scientifically based, rather than, take the thumb out, rub your hand over the paint, take a little guess, hey, that dent might be this, or somebody went out and took pictures of it for me, the salesperson did, and may not have noticed some issues that could be significant in the long run. So therefore I'm missing that reconditioning. Remember, over 50% missing it by more than $750. We see this all the time. This thing can really give us an accurate assessment. And the reason we partnered with UVI is dealers are finding this process to be so useful, but the process of getting cars out of your service drive is a tall task. I mean, do I have the people to sit in the service drive and appraise every car and make offers and put them on the dash or hand them to the customer and make this process very, very efficient? What they want is technology to help them with that effort. So if the car runs through the fixed imaging tunnel through the UVI machine and it can automatically speak to our software at vAuto, we can take that information in, put a value on the car based on the insights that we have in terms of what the car is worth in the market, what it's worth at wholesale, subtracting the reconditioning items, factoring all this in to come up with a out the door value, if you will, if we're able to purchase your car while you're in for service today, and do that all automated. That really helps the human capital investment that dealers are reluctant to make, even though they know they've got these hugely valuable used cars going through their service drive every day. And they love to talk to those folks before they talk to someone else. Remember, 3 offers, 4 to 6 for millennials. I got to get to that customer before they're even thinking about it and have a conversation. Hey, do you realize your car's worth this? And maybe there's something we can do about that. So I think there's a tremendous amount of things that can be done. We in our own appraisal system have improved our photo capability. Obviously, UVI takes an amazing photos as well. Even if you don't have a UVI system, we've improved our photo capability, even with a mobile app, to be able to walk around the car, get better photos that you can zoom in and see issues with the vehicle, so that appraisals can be done at the desk a little more accurately. What else? We've got insights now that I mentioned earlier that really take into account the probability of sale of a vehicle. So, for example, I think any dealer you talk to says that Cox Automotive has a lot of data. I would say that we probably have the most data when you look at all the companies that we have under our umbrella. And what I've learned about AI is those that have the most proprietary data that is clean and accurate and can help train a AI model to be able to figure out whether the vehicle can be sold at a given price point, or a condition of the vehicle that we've seen historically if the car's run through the auction before. It's just a myriad of factors. Shopping behavior. We take now we have Auto Trader that we know how people are searching for vehicles and what they're looking for specifically. We can bring in that shopping behavior, bring all this into an algorithm that says we can give you a really solid pricing recommendation of where this car will sell at in a given number of days. And we feel very confident in that model because through artificial intelligence, that thing is training every day. And it's taking the dealer information in terms of their success and their history with that particular vehicle. Have they sold that car well before? Did they do well with that color? All right. Did they do well with that trim? We bring all of this information into our profit time pricing model, and we're able to really put a good number on the car that we feel you can retail at. Now, if you can fill in that reconditioning estimate that we talked about and be really accurate from that, what's left? This is what I can pay for the car, right? So that is the heart of an appraisal, right? What can I sell it for? What's the money I have to put into it to get it frontline ready? This is what's left, and bake in a little bit of profit. I didn't mean to leave that out, by the way. Got to have a little profit when we go to sell that vehicle. That's the offer that I can make to the customer that's transparent, fair. I've told them why I've reduced the cost of that vehicle based on these reconditioned items, itemizing those reconditioned items, laying it out. Hey, we're going to have to put tires on it. We're going to have to fix this dent. Each of those items come with an associated cost. That's the reasons that this customer was looking for, right? Give me the reasons. And then I can start to understand why you came up with this number that you scribbled on this worksheet.
Patrick, fascinating. Okay. AI. How might the introduction of AI in the appraisal process help the service department and techs who do reconditioning work on the vehicles as well?
Yeah, I was just at a dealer here recently, and I want to add one more thing before I go into this story. It's a great story. It's fascinating to me at a dealer I was actually at just earlier this week. But on that, back on that transparency to the customer, and we've got all this AI going in there. We've done a good job of identifying all the reconditioning. We know the number that we can sell the car at is accurate. It's fair to the customer. We show them all the reasons. I think another piece that I want to throw in there that we've been working really hard at in Vauto is to be able to put together a consumer presentation. I got to tie back to my green Sharpie approach.
Okay.
Is we need to put all that information on a piece of paper. We need to show the customer that we did an OBD2 scanner and these were the codes that tripped and what they mean and what the cost of those things mean. Here's the detail of the reconditioning that we talked about. Here's the vehicle history on the vehicle through the vehicle history report and the things that might impact your value. Here's some insights that we get from Kelley Blue Book, because we see cars coming into the market and out of the market all the time, and some colors sell faster and slower. Share that retail experience and that retail market information with the consumer. So he sees what kind of car they have and whether it's a popular car or not a popular car. Let's give them the good and the bad. And putting that all onto a nice consumer presentation that can be presented out of the appraisal tool is really what we've been working for. And we just completely re-architected our appraisal experience inside of Vauto to get away from that green Sharpie syndrome. And so we're really proud of that. And I think dealers are starting to see that in the system, and they're starting to adopt that and make that really popular. So I'll get back to your question though, on I think you say, how's AI going to help with that fixed ops area, which by the way, is typically a friction point, right? So wait a minute, the sales department is stealing cars out of my customer pay service drive. What are we doing?
That's what they're doing.
That's real, right? And I think
every day
dealers struggle not only with the human capital to be able to do those appraisals, which we're trying to help that with the automation and using AI to do a lot of that grunt work for the dealer. But the other side of that is that still doesn't make the service advisor happy that you're trying to buy this person's car when I'm trying to, get some service work paid for. And I think that comes down to pay plans. First thing that we want to talk about dealers is that, hey, we can't have conflicting pay plans where this is an issue. I also believe that if the appraiser does a better job of detailing all those reconditioned items, guess what? It's not a shocker when the car goes in and the shop finds that those things do need to be done. And we've already assigned a value. We know that when we looked at the car, those things need to be handled. We knew it needed tires. So it's not the shop coming out to me and saying, hey, I want to sell you some tires today because I need some more business, and the used car manager's going, oh my gosh. I remember mine used to say all the time when I was in retail, why is it that we need brake rotors on every car we trade in? Is that a thing? Right? It just felt like they're constantly, getting sold. But if you've done a good job with that detail on the reconditioning, the appraisal already says what the car needs. Now, not to say the mechanic's not going to get it on the lift and find a few more things that are going to need to be looked at and approved, because we do miss things. But if we do a more thorough job, I think, the expectations are more realistic on exactly what the car needs. So I think this thoroughness and the AI being able to help us with these reconditioning items is going to help things significantly. But the story that I want to tell the dealer I was at earlier this week was I said, so, remember the 100 days thing, right? 100 days for people to make a decision. These cars they have a UVI machine. So they are appraising. Now, one of the best practices they told me, this is a bonus for the show here, is why they're so successful. They pull about 40 to 70 cars a month out of their service drive that they trade for in this Honda store. They said one of the keys success is their BDC calls and confirms every service appointment, which is good practice on its own, right? But two, they ask the customer at that time, is it okay if we do a appraisal on your vehicle unless you know what the value is? Just permission, right? That simple thing, they said, really changed the mindset, of the customer. Yeah, that's fine. Good. That's good. So they know it's coming, right? And that's kind of checkbox number one. Hey, they might be open to something because they didn't tell me no. Like, I don't want to waste my time. I have no issue. So we don't want conflict with the customer because they're our service customer first, right? Secondly, we're like, hey, we're looking for an opportunity to
Good idea.
to get a car, right? So I said, okay, great. So they come in. You trade a lot of cars right that day in the service drive. Very few, they said. It's all about the follow-up afterwards. We give them a value. We don't try to pin them down with that number. Many times they leave and take a week or two to kind of think about it. We follow up with them back to that 100 days, right? Makes sense, right? I mean, they weren't even thinking about it when they were, when they came into the service drive. Now they got to kind of, incubate a little bit. And they say, we're willing to take a look at that offer. Great. Now the service department is happy with that. They've already sold them the service, right? But here's the key that they do. When they give them that appraisal number, they tell the customer, listen, this appraisal has nothing to do with the work you're going to get done in the shop today. We don't care if you get $2,000 worth of work or just an oil change. This is our value separate from that for the vehicle, and this is exactly what we're going to provide you. So they go into that, and you say, all right, so now the customer says you want to give the vehicle back. How do you handle the $1,500 bill that they just said?
Right.
They say, not a problem. We'll write you a check. You can use that $1,500 towards your down payment. The service department's already been paid. They would do this, they said, even if the customer never made it off the lot after they got the service work done, or they didn't do the work. If they had the estimate there that says, we would like you for $1,500, they say, that is your money. We did not appraise the car, considering that's been done. That's a separate repair that service will be collecting from you. We're happy to credit that towards the vehicle if you'd like to. We're happy to cut you a check for it, however you want to manage it, but that has nothing to do with the appraisal. I was told by the used car director that this has really, let the guard down from service because they know they're going to get their money and they know they're going to get their repair, and the customer is still going to see value in, putting the money into the car, and there's no conflict going on. So I thought that was a great best practice that I learned this week.
That's right. I like that. Very strong. Patrick, thank you. Sarah, so much information. I took a lot of notes.
I did too, Ted. And Patrick, I mean, this is an ongoing conversation, as you mentioned. I mean, it's always going to be present in dealership operations. Service to sales is super important. And vAuto and Cox Automotive is really at the center of all of it.
Yeah, we have so much activity going on right now, particularly around AI. We have a number of betas that we're doing. Beta being, hey, try this out, select group of dealers. And it's really exciting. I mean, from one we're doing right now, which is called Common Problems, which is, hey, you're appraising this car right now. It's not a brand that you're familiar with. How about if we give you all of the information we know that's out there around common problems with that particular Ford Explorer? And you're a Honda dealer, you're not around Fords that often, and you don't know exactly what might be a problem. Symptoms that you should look for during the appraisal that may lead to big items. Again, trying to protect that dealer from the appraiser making a big mistake. So we've got a ton of things like that. I think this whole AI thing is, like we said about the internet years ago, I think it's here to stay. And so we are diving in deep, and we're getting a lot of dealers involved to be able to see where are we going to apply AI most efficiently into their current process and really make it pay off, right? Turning insights into action and trying to help with redundant tasks. Everybody's spread thin at the dealership. They never have enough people. We're not going to replace people, but we might make someone who can do a lot more in their day than they could before, because we've taken a few redundant tasks away that just take hours to do and may not be as high value as other things they could be digging into.
Patrick, congratulations. Great work. And Thank you for this information. Sarah, as I mentioned, a whole lot here. Wow.
Yes, Ted, lots to look forward to.
All right. Everybody, for more information, you can easily find Patrick Janes and V Auto and Cox Automotive on the web. You see the scroll down below. Patrick, I think that might even be your cell phone on there as well. So
it is. Yeah, not afraid of it.
All right. So
Give me a
Patrick
call,
is the
give me a
man,
text.
everybody.
Probably easier to text me first. You know how that is. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll call you right back.
All right. Very good. Patrick, on behalf of the Roundtable, thank you for this. Sarah and I look forward to seeing you up at Northwood University a little later this fall. And congratulations to you on all the good work and great work that you're doing.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Sarah.
Everybody, Patrick Janes from V Auto, Cox Automotive, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
I'm Nick Wright. I'm a lead performance manager with Private Time GPS. Been with the company for 6 years as a performance manager, car business for 17 years, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I made the switch from retail to Viato. I took the leap to go on the Viato side just because I could still make a difference in the dealership, still help everyone achieve goals, which is, from a sports guy, that's my goal. All the mistakes that I made in my career or things that I wish I would have known or paid attention to is now my almost mission or pet peeve with every time I get a new client. It's, hey, these are the things that I thought. Here's the things that I perceived this software to do or this system to do, and this is actually what it does. What I hear all the time is, people would say, well, Viato says, or Viato is telling me to do this, and a lot of the times we're not telling you to do anything, it's just reading the market and understanding what that market is now presenting to you and the choice that you have to make. So it's essentially understanding how that works and how we can go exist with our plan as a dealer versus what the market is telling me and how I can marry those things together. So I think it's asking the questions that is pertaining to that particular dealer, what are their goals that they want to achieve, and then tailoring our approach and using the software to achieve those goals. The most rewarding part of my job is seeing a dealer that says, hey, I want to sell 100 cars, and they're selling 30. And they have this pie in the sky number of what they want to do per month, and then we look back 3 years later and they're selling 150 and 200, and we laughed at the times that they were selling 30 and said, hey, will we ever get there? So really, it's the change that I make with my dealers. It feels really great to hear them affected.